Gachagua will have 2 hours to defend himself against the 11 charges leveled against him before the lawyers of the National Assembly cross-examine him. In yesterday's sessions, Kibwezi West MP Mwengi Mutuse, who presented the motion of impeachment in the National Assembly, presented his evidence to defend the charges leveled against the DP. Mutuse presented evidence to show that Gachagua ordered for the eviction of people living near the Nairobi River, as well as attacked Judge Esther Maina due to her decision in a corruption case involving him.
Declared my hard-earned wealth process of crime without giving me an opportunity to be heard. Against the rules of evidence, where he who alleges must prove.
It was not about corruption in the judiciary. It was not about inefficiency in the judiciary. It was about huyu judge alisema mali yangu ni mali ya wizi.
Mimi siwezi laumiwa ati watu wa mlima ni wengi hapa Malindi. Kwa sababu hiyo ni Mwenyezi Mungu aliamua. Na hao watu wa mlima wanasema walikuwa wengi, wakikupigia kura kwa nini ukulalamika ni wengi?
So Honorable Mutuse, is that act by the Deputy President impeachable?
It is impeachable in the sense that much as Nairobi is the capital city of Kenya, cosmopolitan, when the Deputy President went there, he addressed Kenyans in his native language.
Mutuse further used a video claiming that the DP attacked NIS boss, accusing him for failing to advise the president over the Gen Z protests.
He has said in the clip that we have played that officers of the National Police Service have told him in confidence that they had not received advance intelligence reports. That is what was contemplated by this oath of due execution of office, what Senior Counsel Orengo called addressing fears. That if a matter is committed to you as a state officer in secrecy, it must remain in secrecy. If you take it to a public press conference, then you have gone against your oath of office, and that is an impeachable offense.
Now, the lawyers representing the Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua in the case of his impeachment have criticized the argument as not meeting the legal requirements and embarrassing the nation due to the narrow arguments used by the MPs to remove their client from office. According to lawyer Elisha Ongoya, the evidence presented by Kibwezi West MP Mwengi Mutuse is not only false but also shameful.
Those of us who understand this motion for what it is, understand why these panel beating maneuvers are being tried here. The motion as presented and approved by the National Assembly will remain in our constitutional history as the most embarrassing motion ever approved by a House of Parliament in the Commonwealth. We respectfully submit.
In yesterday's hearings, Mutuse had a difficult time explaining some of the charges and harmonizing them with the evidence he presented when he was asked questions by Gachagua's lawyer. Lawyer Elisha Ongoya confronted Mutuse with questions one after the other, wanting to understand exactly the charges themselves and how they fit with the evidence.
Did you have any evidence to the contrary that the judge didn't deny him?
See, if you are denied...
Do you have any evidence to the contrary? Either you do or you don't.
And that is not my allegation.
My question to you is, do you have any evidence to the contrary? Answer my question.
But the truth is, that is a judicial process.
Do you have any evidence to the contrary when His Excellency says the judge denied him a chance to cross-examine witnesses?
I do not have to.
Do you in fact have it, Mr. Mutuse? Please be decent as a lawyer, a lawmaker, and a witness before this House.
I do not have...
Honorable Mutuse,
I do not have
questions that you either say yes or no.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's the News Wire. I'm Leah Obaka.
.5 SpiceFM, Kisumu.
The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on SpiceFM.
The man who looks at a beautiful girl and doesn't talk to her will end up serving lunch at her wedding.
Hiya, City. Do like that. Thank you very much, Eric, and it's good to be at the Situation Room.
Always a pleasure coming here. This is the most challenging interview panel in Kenya. You guys are very well informed, and as you can see, Charles today, very philosophical.
To be poor in this country is the greatest sin you can commit, not just from a legal perspective, but from life generally. Yeah. It is very, very skewed.
We've just heard on the floor of Parliament, just most recently, a leader within the ODM saying that Sisi ni ng'ombe is a baba.
Yeah.
Which means that you are willing to be milked.
So, but I'll continue saying, hawa watu wamenirusha. That's all that I'm doing.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
3, 2.
Everybody, welcome to Kenya's biggest conversation.
Nyeri Latifa, Muga, Madam Du, nimesalimia wote sana.
Tumepokea salamu, asante sana.
Hapa Garissa today the weather is very good, only that baridi inatupeleka mbio sana.
Baridi ni degree ngapi hapa?
Hata sijui lakini madam tunakauka sana.
If you want to follow the money trail, you've got to think like a thief to be able to catch that thief.
It's critical that people pay taxes, but then taxation has to have a limit. When you start overtaxing people beyond certain limit, then this is now we call robbery with violence.
We are all struggling, but we don't show. If you're not doing well, shame on you. But you have to say, I'm broke and I'm struggling. We are not okay until everybody is okay.
We are pretending to have political parties. Why don't we just be honest? And we say, these are the Lydiahs, these are the Kambas, these are the Kikuyus, and we find ourselves in Kenya.
You know, with politics and leadership, no matter what you do, there will always be a complaint. There will always be the assumption that you're either stealing or you're not doing things right. As a leader, don't fear. If you know you're doing the right thing, you've thought about it, you've got an expert advice, do it, then understand later.
This country, we don't need prayers. Prayers is between you and God. Good governance and thinkers who care about the country and not their stomach.
That's what we need.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
When you're impeached, you're impeached. When you're sentenced, you're sentenced.
Madam Chief Justice.
Until the sentence is set aside.
Ukibeba vitu kwa roho utakufa. If you carry things in your heart, you will die.
The reason for which you went to school and then gathered experience, that reason must be paid for.
All right.
Okay.
This level.
Shape up or ship out.
Levels don't change.
No.
It's about shipping up.
You're my business partner here.
Shipping out.
Are we talking about the ship in the bathtub? Or
the ship man?
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
This is one of the hottest show that we can ever miss in the morning, and it's a show that really gives a real situation in the Situation Room.
Pleasure to be here. Thank you guys so much. Ndu, nice meeting you. Yeah. Even beautiful in person more than in photos. Say that again.
Character is like pregnancy, you cannot hide it. You know, people hiding here and there, you know, but after 2-3 months, 5 months, now you see. So that is why the attitude that you were showing us, you're pregnant.
It's like what my grandmother would say. You cannot pickpocket a naked man. How's that? It's communal, isn't it?
No comment.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
Nothing to report on the road as yet as of now. All roads heading towards town and even out of town are okay. So let's see if there will be major changes on the roads, but also if there's any major incident, please, as you're on the road, you can tag us on X at SpiceFM KE. We will know, we'll see it, we will alert everybody else about it.
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Okoh, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latiff, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Good morning and how are you doing? Welcome to Thursday. Welcome to Kenya's biggest conversation. This is the Situation Room. It's still Eric and CT. But Muga, how are you doing?
I'm doing very well, thank you.
Very good.
Yes.
That's a very good thing to hear.
I'm doing well.
Yes.
Yes, but the weather notwithstanding, I don't know what it is about this weather. When people talk about climate change, it's real. Once upon a time, you could more or less foretell, you knew climate itakuwa namna hii wakisikizana na weather, si ndio? These days
haujui?
Baba ni kubahatisha.
Wewe hujui?
Labda mimi ndio sijui, labda kuna wenzangu ambao wanaelewa kunishinda. Lakini mimi sijui.
Hey, yesterday the drama began. It was a 3-day-long movie being streamed from the Senate. Where? Mambo ni ile.
This is where names are made or names are destroyed. My friend.
My friend, mambo ni ile.
Where? Kuchambua na kuchambua kweli.
Kabisa. So, yes, the impeachment proceedings began in the Senate yesterday. And we saw it was the turn of the prosecution, which is the National Assembly, to present its case and then get cross-examined by the defense of Rigathi Gachagua. Now, today will be the side of Rigathi Gachagua at point now coming to present his defense, and he'll also then be engaged by the National Assembly and the senators. That was good drama. We want to hear from you as well at some point on what do you think of it? What do you make of all this,
this way and that way?
Back and forth. What's happening? So at 9 a.m., we'll open the phone line so that you can call in and let's have this conversation. What do you make of it? What goes on? And this will be with also Dunstan Omari and Odoyo Owidi. Dunstan is an advocate. Odoyo is a political analyst. They'll be here from 8 a.m. to talk about this political arena. What are the risks and the gambles that we see? What do you make of what we've seen from the Senate in the national conversation? So 9 o'clock, you'll join that conversation. At 7 a.m., we'll have Diana Gishengo. She's the Executive Director of the Institute for Social Accountability, TISA. The impeachment, what are we seeing? What are we missing? What's next? That's what we'll be discussing with Diana in the next 45 minutes or so. So keep it here for those conversations today. And thank you very much for joining us this morning from wherever you are. If you're across the globe or you are outside of the globe, it's okay. We broadcast even on Mars. So those who are watching us from Mars, karibuni sana. We appreciate your presence. We love you as well. Earth is still rotating and revolving and doing the thing that Earth does. So we'd like to hear from you as well. Say hello to Eric, to CT, to Lydiah, to Sigei, Avin, to Asha. Say hello to everybody in the team. Let's first take a look at the weather.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to... The weather with SpiceFM.
Cloudy day in Nairobi. We'll have highs of 26 today. We'll have a cloudy day in Kakamega as well, highs of 28. Sunny day in Mombasa, highs of 31. Highs of 30 in Malindi. We'll have a cloudy day and maybe sunny day in Kisumu at 28. We'll have also another sunny day in Nakuru at 24, in Nyeri at 25, in Eldoret at 22. Kampala will have highs of 28 today, 32 in Kinshasa today, 24 are the highs in Johannesburg today, highs of 28 in Lagos, of 31 in Mogadishu, of 21 in Addis Ababa, of 30 in Dar es Salaam. of 18 in Paris, of 18 in London, of 14 in New York, and highs of 18 in Beijing.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Wengi na wanasema tusalimiane kabisa. Thank you very much for watching. Isaac Moy says salams from Doha. Mwafrika Kev discussing what was happening in the Senate yesterday. They're on media case. Salimia the Princess Ndu. This is Shege from Mars. Shege, how is Mars? It's 35 degrees in Dubai right now. That's Brian Otieno who's there. The Kemsa boss was really shredded. This is Rachel, who's always watching from Venus. Hey, you see, we have people from outside of this place called Earth. This rock is full. This rock, when you watch from Venus, from Mars, you see the drama happening around here. Yeah? Higher. So imagine the number of people that we are referring to this morning, and there are many, and they are saying, all of them are saying hello. Machine imeanza kukwama. So Paul Njuguna, Agola, Richard Odera, Julius Kinyanjui, Mwafrika, Dr. Fico, James Mukabana, Duncan Monari, Laban Misiani, George Mugwero, he's in Nanyuki, Joel Gondi, Agola, Nyakairo, Mkwama, Chris Maura, Kinyanjui, Alex Sylvester Chengo, Sir Eric War, Sir George Gashiri, Gilbert Kimunge, Nyinyi wote tunawaona, Felix Shitemi, Don Sabwa. When chasing a lion, always make sure that you spare some energy just in case it charges at you. Impeachment of Rigiji teaches that lesson. When chasing a lion, keep some reserve energy in case that lion stops and turns.
Because the lion remembers it's actually a lion. Nakimbia nini? What do you mean?
Stops and turns.
Shimimi ni Simba.
Yeah. I think that Don Sabo is saying that's a good message to Mwenge Mutuse. City?
The drama. Hainaga shortage in this country.
Drama haina shortage ya country. Ama country haina shortage ya drama.
Country haina shortage ya drama.
Very good.
We do not lack. Yes.
Drama everywhere.
Galore.
Drama this, drama that, drama that. Dramazani. Higher. Today's proverb?
This one is interesting. The one who shows his fears ensures his salvation.
The one who shows his fears ensures his salvation. Interesting. Interesting.
Isn't it just?
Let me tell you what's on the front page of the Standard today. Rigathe's bruising battle. When DP Rigathi Gachagua appeared before the Senate, he was reeling from a string of losses in the National Assembly and the courts, and his early prayers to Speaker Kingi yesterday suffered the same fate, leaving him to face his accusers in a bare-knuckled war that saw his lawyers rip through Kibwezi MP Mwengi Mutuse's evidence in a surgical cross-examination where the motion mover admitted to several inadequacies. Some of the claims: the DP travelled in London in February 2017 to oversee the signing of a will by his ailing brother. On that day, Dedito Gachagua died. The Deputy President was withdrawing money from his account. Advocate Joroge Rageru and businessman Moi Madenge raised their objections on how the DP was handling his brother's property. Rigathi Gachagua acquired Treetops Hotel without following proper procurement process. He acquired Vipingo Ridge, a property initially owned by his late brother. Gachagua acquired Olive Gardens Hotel, owned previously by his late brother. Those are some of the things that were being said in Parliament. Then the lawyers started asking the questions. Higher. What next? MPs plan for special seating as DP succession hits high gear. So, normally, the sittings of the National Assembly and the Senate are usually Tuesday afternoon, Wednesday morning, Wednesday afternoon, and Thursday afternoon. All right? So, it's Tuesday afternoon, Wednesday morning, Wednesday afternoon, and Thursday afternoon. This time, remember they had just come from a recess just the other day. just a couple of weeks ago, they came from a recess. Now, they are going for another recess next week from Monday. Speaker of the National Assembly has apparently communicated to them and said, now, because we are going on another recess so soon after this other one, and we have not even transacted much business because of this impeachment thing that came to us, we need to have another special sitting. So we shall have a sitting on Friday morning and Friday afternoon. Are we together?
We are together.
Are we together?
Yep.
Yeah. So there'll be a special sitting tomorrow morning and tomorrow afternoon. Everybody's like, Terrain. After tonight's vote in the Senate, the National Assembly will be sitting tomorrow morning and tomorrow afternoon. Will there be some communication that will have come from State House, perhaps? Maybe. CS, more Adani-like deals on the way. The government is eyeing the 5 Adani-like deals to push through projects without straining the exchequer or resorting to borrowing. Meanwhile, in the Catraco deal, brace for costly power. Hope for MSMEs as banks to offer 150 billion shillings in loans. That's the standard. Let me tell you what's in the Daily Nation. On the Daily Nation front page, before we get to the big one, there are 314,000 jobless teachers who are in a mud scramble.
How many?
314,000 trained teachers without a job. The Teacher Service Commission, remember, had announced vacancies, 46,000 vacancies. 314,000 jobless teachers are all scrambling for the 46,000 vacancies. We have our cops in Haiti, right? Our Haiti people. Now, Kenya is training a couple of others. We are about to send another 1,000 to Haiti next year. Among those are female SWAT officers.
We have SWAT.
We have, just SWAT? We have female SWAT officers.
Okay.
You know, this thing called the Administration Police has several very, very specialized units.
Yes, they do.
So many of these guys who are in Haiti are actually
special units.
Special units of the Administration Police. Kema vows to fight for his job. MPs seek his reinstatement. Sacked University of Nairobi Vice Chancellor Professor Stephen Kema has appealed his dismissal, terming the process unfair. This even as 2 MPs called for his immediate reinstatement, saying his sacking is illegal. Devolution. Take it or leave it. Members of the National Assembly stick to 380 billion shilling allocation to counties. They slam counties and senators for insisting on 400 billion as shareable revenue, saying they are aware that the country faces a revenue shortfall of 346 billion shillings that was to be collected in the finance bill. And that finance bill collapsed. So they are telling the Senate, you guys are insisting on 400 billion. You and those governors of yours. We have pesa ile iko 380. Mchukue ama
mwache
mwende nyumbani.
Those are called choices.
Cancel Adani deals. Switch back to NHIF. Religious leaders tell Ruto. Religious leaders have called on President Ruto to rescind some of his government's decisions, including the new health system. In a joint statement yesterday, the leaders under the umbrella of the National Council of Churches of Kenya and Supreme Council of Kenya Muslims said the country is going through a very difficult time orchestrated by the government. That's on the back page. So there were laws that were being debated in Parliament last year. There were laws that were passed in Parliament last year. Those laws said that the NHIF will become obsolete and it will be replaced by a new entity. These religious leaders, one would assume, why in this country then?
I would assume so.
But now they're saying, no, switch back to NHIF.
Now is when they're speaking.
Under what law? Now what? Anyway, the main headline in the Daily Nation today, DP filed 29 cases seeking to block his ouster by the National Assembly and the Senate. Who you DP, my friend? Hey, your koti ameenda. Gachagwa's date with destiny, the moment of truth. The setbacks that Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua and his allies suffered in the courts spilled over into the Senate yesterday during the start of his impeachment trial after Speaker Amason Kingi threw out preliminary objections raised by his legal team. As the hearing resumes today, lawmakers will be expected to make a decision on whether to save or to fire the Deputy President by the close of the proceedings. What will their verdict be?
Drama galore, isn't it?
Kabisa. What's in the Star?
Well, There is top right-hand corner until green. It's a tribute to ex-Harambee Stars and Gor Mahia captain Austin Oduor. He passed away.
Oh no!
Collapsed. Yes, he was resuscitated in his home in Kakamega. I went to hospital 3 hours later. He had passed away.
He was our captain.
Yes, he was.
He was Kenya's captain.
He was, especially when we won the Nelson Mandela Cup in 1987. Yes.
Peter Dow was a striker.
Peter Dow was a striker.
Was in that team, isn't he?
He was in that team.
And he was just scoring headers too.
Oh, that man was prolific. We've had some fantastic, superb, sublime football players. This gentleman who has passed away was one of them. By the time somebody becomes captain, that he's a cohesive fellow. Somebody who knows to bring people together.
Yes.
Yes. Our condolences to the family. Yes.
Kabisa.
Legislation. Blow to women as MPs delay proposed gender seats in NADCO report. This is a story on page 7. Investigation. Lawmakers summon Moi over status of 5,000 acres belonging to Nakuru College. This is a story on page 8. Okay. Wins appeal. Narcotics convict let me start again. Narcotics convict Mutune leaves Thika prison as law graduate after 10 years.
Wow.
Yes.
He went to prison for 10 years.
He went to prison for 10 years.
While in prison, he
studied.
decided to study. And
See, I'm here,
law.
and I don't have very many obligations.
Study law.
He studied.
Okay.
And now he's a law graduate.
Very good.
Bang in the middle of the paper. Special sitting. State machinery heavily mobilized for immediate replacement. This is according to the Star. Inside plan to swiftly replace.
Araka.
Chap. Yani, whoop, done.
Yes.
Rush process, a tactic to avoid any court intervention as Rigathi seeks to stop the move. Rigathi had been told by the 3-judge bench, my friend, we cannot make a ruling on preemption. We can't sort of like foretell what's going to happen. So once the Senate has done what they're doing, please, you can come back.
You can come.
Yes. Just come back. Do not fear. This story is on page 4 and 5. My friend, let me look at the Business Daily, shall I?
Yeah.
Right. Global banks cut Kenya's growth outlook. Kenya economy is projected to slow down as much as 0.6% points in 2024, largely suppressed by reduced cash circulation on weaker government spending on projects. Sawa? Key shareholder buys extra 4.2 billion I&M stake. Okay? IM's fourth largest shareholder, EAGH, is set to pay a premium on the bank's current share price to acquire an additional 86.5 million shares.
Wow.
Those are many shares.
How much in billions?
4.2 billion Kenya shillings.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow.
Win for Dutch brewer in tussle with local firm. Judges have dismissed an appeal by Jovet Kenya over the long-standing legal dispute with the Netherlands-based brewery Bavaria NV over a terminated distributorship. You're distributing for us? You're not distributing for us. No, I want to distribute for you. No. Our court decides, see, the beer is theirs. Okay, see, they can decide who they want to distribute for them. Where's the problem? If you have a problem, you make your own beer, and then distribute it. Treasury to ditch short-term bonds. Is this not what the CS Treasury told us yesterday? Yes, the Treasury is set to move away from issuing short-dated bonds in coming months, indicating potential drop in interest rates on domestic debts. The understanding was so that money can be freed, so that one NG like us can go and borrow. If you want to borrow. Okay. Treasury now targets milk, bread tycoons in new tax plan.
Yes.
Producers of milk, bread, maize flour. That one, they can rest assured the tax man is coming for you.
That's producers. Producers are farmers.
Yes, producers are farmers. So that
are we
one,
talking about processors?
This one.
Because producers of milk are farmers. Processors are those companies that then pack the milk.
Yes.
Producers of bread are wheat farmers.
Yes.
Okay.
Put it this way. They will be
kutakuwa na tax kwa mkate.
CBK summons bank bosses for not cutting lending rates. So bank bosses clearly were not cutting lending rates according to this. CBK says drop, bank says we're not dropping a thing. Okay? August CBR dropped to 12.75%, yet reflect on cost of loans. Thuge says there is no reason not to lower interest rates.
Banks.
This is Kenya for you.
These banks. These banks. Ay. Tutahama.
Over interest rate.
Tutaenda tala. The People Daily. Ominous signs for Gachagua. The trial. Orengo alleges that DP took advantage of his dying brother to make fortune, even as his lawyers claim he was not the beneficiary of dirty cash as they seek to save his political career. Okay. Echoes of South Africa's Guptas in Adani Kenya deal. Hey, guy. And then they have a feature here of a schoolgirl who fell in love with trees. Kwenye Taifa Leo, viongozi wa kidini wakataa Adani bima ya afya ya SHIF. Viongozi wa kidini sasa wanasema nchi inaelekea pabaya, huku Wakenya wakizidi kutatizwa na bima mpya ya afya ya kijamii. Naye Rais William Ruto amekimya kuhusu mchakato unaoendelea wa kumuoa naibu wake Rigathi Gachagua. Haya, sahau bilioni 400 magavana waambiwa wakashifu wakuu wa kaunti kwa kutaka kiasi hicho, ilhali nchi ina upungufu na wa mapato. Hawa ni wabunge wanafanya hivyo. Bangi kuwa halali chini ya Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris amesema mimi nikikuwa rais bangi.
Unajua, we also had a presidential candidate who had similar thoughts.
Ni vile tu hakuna fisi Amerika. Angepia hiyo angesema
in fact
kuna vitu ya fisi.
Mazee hizo kwanza broad based medication, yani inatibu kila kitu.
Mkongwe Messi abeba Argentina. Alifunga mabao 3 na kusaidia Argentina kushinda Bolivia kwa mabao 6-0 mechi ya mchujo. So some preliminary matches were going on, some elimination matches. Haya, bang in the middle
of that particular
kwa Taifa Leo. Atajikomboa? Hilo ni swali. Naibu wa Rais Rigathi Gachagua ana chini ya saa 10 leo kujitetea dhidi ya mashtaka 11 yanayomkabili katika Seneti. That is what is in the what? The Taifa Leo.
Taifa Leo imesema
26 minutes to 7. Did you tell us about this? You did.
I did. Ndio nilianza nayo.
Yes, you did.
Nilisema inside plan to swiftly replace DP Gachagua. Hiyo ilikuwa bangi in the middle of the paper.
Very good.
Yes.
Acha tuangalie trafiki basi.
Yes.
This is the Situation Room. The only way to start your day. 102.5 Spice FM. Kisumu.
No, there is no traffic. It's okay. It's moving well towards town if you're coming towards town. So if you're on Thika Road, if you're on Kiambu Road, if you're on Mombasa Road, if you're on Jago Road, if you're on Outer Ring Road, if you're on Kangundu Road, Langata Road, Ngong Road, kuja tu. Even Juja Road is okay. Kuja tu. Iko sawa.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Yes. Sasa tuangalie hizo story kwa kina. Inside completely, right?
Yes.
Very good.
Unataka nianze?
Anza bana.
All right. Wacha niende katika right. Goodness. Igembe South sub-county in Meru is grappling with a severe shortage of condoms.
In Igembe South?
Yes.
Severe shortage.
Headline concerns as Igembe suffers severe condom shortage.
Okay.
Public Health Department has run out of supplies for some months. Okay. The dire situation has prompted urgent calls for immediate intervention from both national and county governments.
Gembe South is in which county?
Meru.
Okay.
Okay. Gembe South, the Deputy Public Health Officer John Muirungi who spoke to KNA yesterday in his office, said they have run out of the protective gear for a few months, putting the residents at a high risk of contracting HIV and other STIs like gonorrhea and syphilis. Muriungi said the demand for the commodity is still high, even though there are no supplies to address the needs. He said the dire situation, if it's not addressed immediately, would lead to serious consequences. I've chosen this story for a very simple reason. One of the things about healthcare is the need to have planning, the need to have planning that forecasts needs. So when you hear of such a shortage, this is condoms. Yesterday I was looking at the papers, and some other county also had a problem with drugs. It's a story which, if you look through the papers, you'll always find one story or the other about a shortage of drugs. So the question you ask is, if you know the pace at which these drugs are consumed, surely, why is it that you do not plan in advance so that these products are available when they're needed? For months, you haven't had the product. So I'm looking at the story here, okay? They said that in August, the government announced the distribution of 6 million free male condoms, mostly organized serving sex workers and gay people. In February, the Ministry of Health revealed it had distributed 3.1 million condoms in the previous 6 months. All right? The problem seems to be condoms, from what I read, are expected to be free.
Yep.
So, they're waiting for the free delivery, and the free delivery has not?
It's not coming.
Yes.
Hey, so this is something that if the condoms are freely available in other parts of Meru, so why are they not available in this particular part?
I do not know. Maybe the others haven't spoken of it.
Maybe the others haven't spoken.
Because they haven't think, yes, but we are told that on average, Kenya or Kenyans, we need 400 million condoms every year. Okay. You can let your mind roam and do a little this and that.
It's a good number.
It's a good. Senior number, Mzuri.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Meaning it comes to something like 17,000 daily. Okay. So amazing, isn't it?
Sir, there's a gentleman called Professor Stephen Kiamagetahi. You know him?
That is the
He was until recently the Vice Chancellor of the University of Nairobi.
Yes, he was.
Now, Professor Kiama says he had been informed of his sacking as both an employee of the university and as the VC. So not just the Vice Chancellor only. Even hapa hata kukuja kupika chai ama kufunza watu, do not. The Dawn's contract as head of Kenya's premier university was scheduled to expire on January 6th next year, and he had requested for reappointment. The University Council Chairman, Professor Mukoa Anangwe, issued a communication dated October 14th to the university community, saying Kiama's services as an employee of the UON had been terminated on September 27th. Right? Now, he says, Professor Kiama, the council asked me to go for what they called a disciplinary hearing on September 27th. In my view, they had predetermined a verdict because they have wanted to get rid of me since they came into office. They communicated the decision even before I got home through a letter on email and also a physical one. I appealed through the chair and said it's an unfair process, but the chair hasn't called me or responded. He revealed that he was accused of not cooperating with the council. It's a case of, I don't like your face. But what can you do about it? They have shown a lot of hostility towards me, whose cause I cannot tell. The University Council had on August 3rd suspended the professor for 3 months, the fourth time in a year. At the time, the Deputy President, Rigathi Gachagua, who was going through his own problems as his removal from office through impeachment, had come to his defense. When I defend our people, I'm called a tribalist. Professor Kiama has been harassed by the chairman, Professor Anangwe, since he was appointed chairman. Professor Kiama has never known peace. If there's a public university in Kenya that's run without any trouble, it's a UON. But the Vice Chancellor is being harassed. They even took goons to evict him. That's what Gachagua had said. Professor Kiama faulted the council for terminating his employment, saying that's unheard of because those are two different contracts, as a lecturer and as a VC. There's no accusation that I had failed in my duties as a lecturer. I have served the university with distinction since 1990 and was only away when I was doing my PhD. I have another 10 years to retirement. Why should they fire me as lecturer.
This particular matter, first of all, the question I want to ask is, it is said that the Public Service Commission appointed him.
Public Service Commission? Your VC is appointed by the council.
The VC is appointed by the cabinet minister. The council takes names to the cabinet secretary, who then
decides who the VC is.
Yes. I'm raising this because yesterday I was when we're looking, because this matter was raised yesterday in the papers. There was the question of the Public Service Commission having determined his employment. Okay. Now, if I move away from that, why is it that this matter has this? It's a contentious issue that has been there for quite some time. Now the council has finally said, okay, leave. We will then begin to understand in greater detail if the professor takes this matter to court. We'll probably get to understand it better, and also get to understand that when there is a problem between a VC and the council, how it is it should be resolved.
Yeah.
Because why must it be resolved with a sacking?
And all the suspensions.
Yes.
I mean, the university is one that's not getting value.
No.
You have suspended the vice chancellor 4 times in a year.
What on earth is going on?
He has not worked as the vice chancellor.
No, how could he work? And is fighting his the stay in to stay in his office.
Hey. This is it's a big one. And then so now he is appealing that decision, and there are 2 MPs also who have come and they've signed. A petition on his behalf. A statement signed by John Kagushia, who's the MP for Mukurweini, and Geoffrey Wandeta, who's the MP for Teto. They say that they are condemning the move to sack him, calling it unfair and a mockery of justice. They are demanding that Professor Kiama be immediately and unconditionally reinstated to complete his term. They say that Professor Kiama's performance as Vice Chancellor has been rigorously evaluated by previous university councils. He achieved excellent scores of 96.24% and 96.4% for the financial year 2019-2020 and 2020-2021. So somebody who's scoring above 96% in performance, how does he suddenly now start becoming so bad and he has to go?
Who has he offended? Who is it that the council, because the beef, according to what he is quoted to have said, seems to be the chairman of the council, not the council. He's saying Anangwe has had it in for him for the longest time. Why? Okay, so the question would be, who does Anangwe prefer?
Yeah.
Because whenever there's such an accusation, it means there's someone who they feel ought to be there. And this they is who?
But also even before Anangwe, even when the council itself had issues in the previous council and to this one, there were issues about the VC. There was already pushback from, for example, the cabinet secretary, the late George Magoha. When Professor Kiama came up with moves and said, let's scrap, for example, some positions of deputy VC, let's close some colleges, let's raise some fees for some courses, it brought in a lot of heat and pressure, where Professor Magoha actually said that you cannot just do that. You must justify. You must justify why you are making all these changes, right? So Professor Magoha and Professor Kiama were already
at loggerheads. You know, since it's the university, you must ask the question, who did Professor Magoha prefer? Yes, because remember, he himself had been VC in that same college.
Yes.
Yep. So the politics of the university is what I am hoping will be laid bare so that we can actually understand. Because if it is a question of performance, let it be clear that it is performance.
Yeah.
And let it be documented that this, what he was expected, the performance contract with this gentleman was this. And this is what he was expected to do. And this is what he did not do, this is what he did. Remember, this matter of VCs, do you remember when you had a problem with land that belonged to Kenyatta University?
Yep.
And suddenly, Mara the council was changed.
Yeah.
Mara this was done. Mara this guy had gone. And all he had said was, this land you guys are diddling about with, this is university land. Okay? It became an issue. Unfortunately, anything that has to do with our public universities, we require a little more clarity.
Kabisa.
Yes, this transparency we're talking about, it is necessary.
It is necessary. Meanwhile, I think Professor Kiama, because he believes he's a clean man, but there's people who see him as a dirty man. So just to clean his image, aende tu hapa hill, apate babafua, aoshwe.
waende wapigwe story kidogo, sabuni ya omo,
and kwa babafua
mwosho moja,
aoshwe mwosho moja, and he will be clean.
And suddenly, his qualities will be the most admirable qualities that the university has ever seen.
Kabisa.
Yes.
314,000 teachers without jobs, eyeing 46,000 TSC slots. Yeah. So, a total of 314,000 jobless teachers submitted applications for the 46,000 vacancies advertised recently by the TSC, highlighting the high unemployment rate among graduates. This means that the recruitment, which is scheduled to end today, will leave hundreds of thousands of teachers dejected, despite schools having huge staffing gaps. The applications were received within 1 week, from October 1st to October 8th. Can you imagine? In 1 week, 314,117 applications. According to the applications data, all these teachers applied for consideration for the 39,500 permanent and pensionable vacancies available in junior schools across the country. Junior schools are the worst hit by staff shortages, and they have mainly been staffed by teachers on contract, commonly known as interns. Some 93,646 teachers applied for the 6,000 jobs on offer in primary schools, while 76,294 applications were received by the TSC for 450 positions in secondary schools. 450 positions, there were 76,000 applications. Well, my friend, this is, you cannot suddenly absorb all these people. But what's the plan going forward? While campaigning for the top seat in 2022, President Ruto had promised to employ 116,000 teachers within 2 years. It has proved to be difficult. Once this round of recruitment is completed, the government would have employed 56,000. Since coming into power 2 years ago, the promise was 116,000 in 2 years. They'll have achieved 56,000 in 2 years, 50%. Kupet Secretary General Kello Misori lauded the government's move to hire 46,000 teachers on permanent terms, saying it's the largest number in the history of the country. Yeah, it's the largest at a go, but still there's such huge gaps. And if you consider how much money we put into education every year, and then you look at now we have JS, junior secondary, 3 classes of junior secondary that have serious teacher shortages.
Remember that story I mentioned earlier on about this gentleman called Philip Mutune, who was jailed in Thika. Actually, his sentencing had been for 30 years.
Okay.
And he was sentenced because he was accused and convicted of trafficking narcotics worth 5 million shillings. Okay? That was 10 years ago. Not only did he qualify as a lawyer, but he also trained as a paralegal officer and a sign language interpreter. So he did not waste his time in jail.
Paralegal? So did he study law or did he study as a paralegal?
No, he trained as a lawyer. Started off as a paralegal, then became a lawyer.
Paralegal, and then he also has the Kenya Sign Language.
Yes, he did.
Wow.
He did not waste his time in prison.
Wow.
Yes. Now, yesterday we heard of a certain gentleman who had immense powers in the Moi government, someone by the name of Kulei. There was issue of some land which we're told previously was ADC land. Well, we're at it again. This time, Parliament has summoned the former Baringo Senator Gideon Moi to explain the status of 5,000 acres of land belonging to the Rift Valley Institute of Science and Technology. Okay? The Assembly's Public Investment Committee on Governance and Education claims that the land held in trust should be reverted back to the college. The committee heard that the local community held a fundraiser in 1972 where they raised money to buy land for the college. A board of trustees was then tasked to manage the land on behalf of the community and are yet to hand over 5,000 acres to the college. Okay? Yeah, that's just a story. Remember, the Central Bank of Kenya procured a new machine for printing what? Money. Remember that one?
Yes.
14.5 billion.
From Germany.
From Germany, okay?
Yes.
Auditor General said, Nani, iko shida? He said that particular process was flawed. Gadangu has poked holes in the procurement, saying the law was not followed to the letter in the identification of the firm. The report tabled in Parliament, the auditor said a review of the process revealed flaws with the internal processes. the internal process prior to the procurement were not followed in compliance with Regulation 84 of the Public Procurement and Asset Disposal Regulations of 2020. According to Kadhango, the rules required CBK to appoint a special committee to handle the procurement of classified items. The committee was to aid the identification and assessment of suitable currency supplier. It was also required that the Director General of Public Procurement Regulatory Authorities monitors the procurement process according to Section 9(1)(d) of the Public Procurement and Asset Disposal Act. An attendant regulation spell out that the procurement regulation monitors the tendering process. In the circumstances, management did not fully comply with the Public Procurement and Asset Disposal Act of 2015 and the attendant regulations.
Where?
Yep. And in Haiti, we are told Kenyan officers killed 20 gang members in combat near capital. Okay?
Kenyan officers.
Yep.
They are making boss moves, eh?
Yes, they are making boss moves. That is Kenya, that is Haiti for you.
Very good. Now then, let me tell you about the women SWAT. Kenya will deploy female police officers drawn from the Special Weapons and Tactics SWAT team to Haiti in November. They'll form part of a contingent of an additional 600 officers who are scheduled to join their colleagues who are already leading in an international policing mission in the Caribbean nation. 396 Kenyan police officers who are deployed in 2 groups are already battling gangs in Haiti as part of the UN mission. It will be the first time that Kenya is sending female officers for peace missions. The officers are undergoing training at the Nairobi Police College, Embakasi, at the National Police College, Embakasi A campus. Other officers expected to travel into Haiti are drawn from GSU, Anti-Stock Theft Unit, and the Rapid Deployment Unit. Given that Kenya is the lead country, the MSS commander is Godfrey Otunge, deputized by Colonel Kevron Henry of Jamaica, the other country that has already sent troops. The Kenyan officers who've been in Haiti since June have held joint operations with the Haiti National Police, leading to the capture of key installations such as the General Hospital, the port, and the National Palace that have been seized by the gangs. So Kenyan women will, for the first time, be part of a peacekeeping mission outside of the country. Big one, isn't it?
Big
one, bwana. Big one. Big one.
Remember this, I mentioned yesterday that JP Morgan coming to Nairobi to open a branch.
Yes.
Let me just mention in passing, it will operate under the name of JP Morgan Chase Bank NA. Okay? Hiyo tu ndio nataka kusema.
JP Morgan Chase Bank.
Yes.
I see.
They merged with Chase Bank some times back.
I see.
Making them the biggest retail bank in America.
Yes. Kabisa. Okay. I see. Now, there's a story on page 3 of the Standard today, which is a bit bizarre and somewhat. Listen to the headline. Man's terror alert email to punish cheating lover lands him in jail. A 53-year-old man's early morning email to the Interpol alleging that his girlfriend was a terrorist has landed him in trouble. Man sent an email to Interpol saying, my girlfriend, terrorist. Moses Kabali's anger after their love fell apart will see him either serve 5 years in jail or pay a 5 million shilling fine. The email that was sent on June 30th at 6:01 a.m. to the Interpol's General Secretariat alleged that Judith Nyaranga and others were planning to carry out terror attack in Kenya. June 30th, just the other day.
My friend, 3 months ago.
Kabali is a refugee from Uganda. He alleged that he was a Somali national and that his girlfriend and a cousin had helped D2 terror attack mastermind Ali Salim Kishunge's wife, Violet Kemunto, escaped to Somalia. So he wrote claiming that he's a Somali national and that his girlfriend was involved in spiriting Kishunge's wife out of the country. My relative is a Somali trader and moves a lot from Mogadishu to Isli. I believe she and another Kenyan woman are serious, credible terrorists. The Kahawa Law Court's Magistrate Gideon Kiage said his anger indicated that Kabali wanted to destroy his lover's life. The circumstances of the offense, as captured in the facts presented by the prosecutor and as admitted by the accused person both in mitigation and the pre-sentence report, revealed a devious and resentful individual on a rage-fueled mission with a singular goal of destroying the life of his estranged lover. So who is Kabali? Kabali was born in Mubende, Matiana, in Kampala. But he has been in Kenya for 2 decades. He told the court that he left the country as he was at loggerheads with President Museveni's government over his human rights activism. He said his first visit to Kenya was in 1997, where he had come to buy cooking oil and second-hand clothes to sell back in Uganda. Convict is an Arabic studies teacher in Kenya. A social inquiry report presented in court indicated that Kabali married in 1995 and he has 3 children, 2 who are medical doctors in Uganda. In 2008, he started cohabiting with one Hadra in Kenya, and they had a traditional wedding 3 years later. However, they separated in 2018 due to what he claimed to be threats by the Ugandan government for marrying a Somali woman. A year later, he got into a relationship with Nyaranga. From the report, Kabali claimed that Nyaranga started changing and would spend days away, and they separated because she was cheating on him. Kabali confirmed that the UN registered him as an asylum seeker, and he was granted a refugee scholarship to study law at the University of London. The man said he was emotionally unstable when he framed Nyaranga, claiming that he had emotionally and financially invested in her and sent the email to get revenge and punish her for cheating.
So, amidst all these things, the man has become a writer of fiction.
Yes.
Okay.
He apologized and told the court that he had learned to manage his anger. Right. He further claimed that the girlfriend had also spread false information among his friends, which resulted in ridicule for failing to perform his manly duties.
Huyu mzee msimuone hivi.
Oh yeah. So he wakes up and decides, I will punish you. He writes an email to Interpol. He says, I'm Somali. I have a girlfriend who keeps going to Uganda, to Somalia frequently and for long trips. And I think this one, terrorist. Surely.
Did he understand the enormity of that accusation and the impact it could have on that lady? I suspect he did.
He must have. He must have. He's not just some guy. I mean, this is not a young chap. You know, you could say...
No, he's not young. But then you have 2 children.
Yeah. He has 2 children. He has been to the University of London. He has studied law.
It's an interesting story, this one.
It's anger.
Yes. He was upset.
Yep. So the girl is going away for long. He believes this girl is cheating on me. And then now he says, this girl is cheating on me, claiming huko nje anaambia watu ati she's out there because
mimi
there's nothing in here.
Nimepungukiwa. Niko na shorty.
Haya. So what are we seeing with the Rigathi Gachagua impeachment, and what are we not seeing with the Rigathi Gachagua impeachment? We are going to have our next guest to discuss that with us. She is the executive director of the Institute for Social Accountability. 7 a.m. Good morning.
Spice up your life.
Amla Ubaga. Now, the stage is set for immediate replacement of Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua should the Senate uphold his impeachment. The details emerged as Gachagua's impeachment began in the Senate with damning allegations of how he allegedly manipulated his ailing brother Nderitu Gachagua to sign a will from his sickbed. The DP also suffered a blow after Senate Speaker Emerson Kingi allowed fresh evidence exposing how he used a proxy to acquire a hotel belonging to his late brother. Gachagua's fate as the country's second in command will be determined by a Senate vote today, and the allies of President William Ruto are confident the DP will be sent packing. However, this is what Kenyans had to say concerning the impeachment process.
Senate tunafikiriaga ni watu wazima, ni watu wamekomaa. Ukiona mtu kama Sifuna, Kalwale, kusema ukweli, ukiona hii mashtaka yenye Gachagua aliandikwa nayo ni mashtaka yenye haina nguvu yoyote. Inatakana Senate waangalie mzuri, waokolee Gachagua kazi, sababu Gachagua amekosana na bosi yake, sio hii mambo eti ya ufisadi. Wasijaribu kufuata mrengo ati ya nini, ati ya ODM, ati UDA.
Wengi hatujafurahia. Mheshimiwa President, tulikupea kura yetu na moyo mmoja. Nimekuomba mkiwa na Mr. Gachagua, ningeomba jambo la kwanza, wewe mkae chini na Mr. Gachagua kabla mlio nenda nyumbani. Tuliwajua kama watu ya kanisa, msije mkamaliza Ukristo wenu mkaribu. Hamuko maadui mlipoomba kura mahali hapa. Uchaongea lolote, lakini nakuomba hata leo ikiwezekana kabla kesho ifike, Mr. Ruto, ongea na Gachagua, hata mpigie simu sasa hivi, mambo yasiharibike.
Hii serikali mzima hakuna mtu mzuri, hakuna mtu mweupe kama pamba. Pande ya deputy president, yeye amekuwa akitetea mlima. This time wakati amesikia kuna impeachment, ndio nasikia sasa anaongea kuhusu Kenya mzima. Ukirudi president amenyamaza. Sasa tujui chenye walikosania kabisa ni nini. Hii kitu si faida kwa sisi na si hasara kwa sisi, ni kwa sababu ni politics. Lakini upande wetu tunataka sana maneno ya mwananchi ndio angalie.
Kibwezi West MP Mwengi Mutuse found himself in a tight corner during cross-examination in the trial hearing of the impeachment motion he tabled against Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua. Mutuse was put on the spot as Gachagua's legal counsel Elisha Ongoya sought to discredit his evidence-in-chief against the DP. Among the accusations the DP's legal team sought to dispel was that he undermined the government by publicly opposing its policy to move traders from the Wakulima market to a new location on Outer Ring Road and demolition of structures along riparian lands. The lawyer sought to know whether there exists any law that prohibits the DP from calling for empathy at a press conference, but Mutuse appeared to be at loss for words.
Tusipigane na wananchi wale walituchagua. Let us be empathetic.
Let's stop there. He's calling for empathy towards wananchi. Is that correct?
Yes, indeed.
Do you find anything offensive in that call?
It is the forum where he's saying it.
Do you have anything wrong with that call for empathy?
I have a problem with the forum where...
No, you're answering your own question. I'm asking whether you have a problem with the call for empathy.
My allegation is that he had forum...
I've asked whether you have a problem with his call for empathy. Please answer my question.
He would have said as much in cabinet.
Please answer my question. Do you have a problem with a call for empathy?
I have no problem with the call for empathy other than...
Let me move to the next question.
The lawyer pressed him further to explain whether the DP's call was inconsistent with any existing law on public participation.
Are you saying that the problem is that the Deputy President spoke out aloud what was written in an agreement deposited with the Registrar of Political Parties and which formed the government?
I am not saying that because there is nowhere in the coalition agreement we spoke about a company.
Can you see Article 7?
Yes, I can see Article 7.
Please read what it says.
Priority projects and programs. Upon winning the presidential election scheduled for 9th August 2022, the coalition administration shall ensure the following within the 2022-2027 development cycle. Well, basically, cost, but also with a national, with a national nature.
Now, the Kenya National Examinations Council, NEC, has released the timetable for the Kenya Primary School Education Assessment. The exams will start with a rehearsal on Friday next week, followed by the main examination, which will run from 28th to 30th October. Candidates will sit for the mathematics paper in the morning on the first day of the examination, which will be followed by the English paper in the mid-morning. That's the News Wire. I'm Lea Ubaga.
SpiceFM, Nakuru.
Hiya, how is it looking like now? Heading in towards town, it's getting busier and busier, but it's still not so bad. Like Kiambu Road is okay, even Thika Superhighway. The traffic begins at KCA University Survey area. That's not so bad for Thursday morning. How is it on Mombasa Road coming towards town? It's fine. The only issue is, of course, because of that thing that the Kenya National Highways Authority put as an interchange into Enterprise Road from Mombasa Road, not into Enterprise Road. It's a U-turn or some sort, some roundabout. That thing, it causes traffic from Imara Daima every morning up to GM, and then after that it clears. When you get to the roundabouts on Nyayo and Bunyala, they'll be all right. When you get to Haile Selassie, you'll find just a bit of traffic, but that's what you expect at that time. Langata Road is okay. Ngong Road is all right. Jogoo Road is only busy at Makadara as usual. Landis Road is all right. Outer Ring Road is okay. North Airport Road is busy as you head towards the City Cabana's interchange as well. You'll find it building up later, but nothing much to report other than that.
This is the Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Okoh, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latiff, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
7 minutes after 7, how are you doing? Welcome to Kenya's biggest conversation in the second hour of the Situation Room this morning. Thank you very much for keeping it locked and for joining us. We are looking and following what's happening across the country now, with the impeachment of Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua coming to the final day today. And then Parliament has been asked to have a special sitting tomorrow before they go on recess next week. So maybe the special sitting tomorrow is just to look at, the pending business of the House. They don't want to go with a tier plate full, They want to clear some things, some things that we're working on. So people who are thinking that maybe there's another biashara that they'll be discussing tomorrow, you're highly mistaken. The Parliament doesn't work like that. They work on, what's on the order paper.
Eric, what are you talking about? What are you talking about?
I don't know. What do you mean?
No, I heard you talking. Unasema nini?
Kesho bunge inakaa.
Hiyo ni kweli?
Yes. Yeah.
Ila.
It's headlines here saying, could they be discussing a new DP? Why would they? Why? How many days since you are? Why? Our guest, Diana Gishengo, is in the studio.
Yes.
She's here. She is the executive director of the Institute for Social Accountability. Diana, how are you doing?
You and your phone, karibuni.
Yes. I'm very well.
Mko salama?
There's so much
Are you
happening.
here?
I hope I am. I am now very here. I will try to be here.
Welcome.
Yes, I would love, maybe there are many other places, but for now, I am here. I'm here with you. Yeah.
Good.
How have you been?
Very well.
Okay.
Yes.
You're saying Parliament is doing very good business.
He's saying Parliament is doing what they do.
Parliament is working. Tomorrow they'll be working. They'll just have a session tomorrow.
Tomorrow is a Friday.
Just immediately after recess.
And the justification is because they're going on recess next week. So they want to see if they can at least clear 1, 2, 3 things before they go back on recess. So they'll have a session tomorrow morning and another session in the afternoon.
What's on the order paper?
We will see tomorrow. It's published on the day.
Okay.
Yeah. See? Karibu sana. Siti.
Yes.
Why don't you tell Diana about the Aga Khan University Hospital?
Yes.
All 54 of them. You know Aga Khan has one?
Yes.
My friend.
Bala.
So there's the one in on Limuru Road.
Limuru Parkland, yeah.
And you've seen the others?
The medical.
Let's just educate you a little bit.
Okay.
There's an Aga Khan hospital that has been there for the longest time in Mombasa. People know about it. Rather than that, it has been in Kisumu for the longest time. People know about it. Okay. Then Aga Khan decided they were bringing up 53 new outlets. 15 happy? 3. All over. And you actually can't miss them. You will see the advertisements.
Yes.
Some refer to them as specialty clinics, but the truth is they're actually hospitals. When you look at just the number of specialists who will attend to you and to your needs, you'll realize that healthcare has come next to you.
Okay.
But now they decided, this is not enough. Let's move into the 21st century and move this thing a notch higher. Now, they have home care. Now, I'm using the word home care because precisely that's what it is. People go to hospital to seek health care and to be treated.
Yes.
They're saying simply, you can be treated at home.
Okay.
The doctor can come to you. The nurse can come to you. They can bring your medicine to you. If there's some test that they need to conduct so that they determine what is wrong with you, They will determine some of these tests. The really technically inclined tests you will have to go to hospital. But the tests that determine whether you should go for the more advanced test can be done at home.
At home, okay.
If you have an ailment, yes, at home, in your house, home. If you have an ailment that requires physiotherapy, that can also be done at home. Now, this is taking home care to a completely different level. That's the Aga Khan University Hospital for you. So when they say they care for you, take it as they mean it.
It's the truth.
53 hospitals.
53 like specialty clinics. Now, for many people, specialty clinic is basically a hospital.
Yes.
Right? That's what we're saying. Those are 53 new hospitals.
Because if you put them, say, in our space of health hospitals, they would be level 4, level 5 by the time you have a medical office. That's impressive. I saw one of those hospitals in Hola, Tana River. And I was very, very impressed because there are places you go to, and that is when you remember, oh God, what is the budget allocation for health in this hospital?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I walked in and I was impressed to find there are actually doctors, Kenyan doctors in Hola Aga Khan Hospital. But in Hola Level 4 Hospital, they were, they're called the what?
Clinical officers.
No, they were the Cuban doctors.
Ah.
Yeah, so I think this is very commendable that we will get to this level of care. If they can offer learnings to the rest of the healthcare.
It will rub off.
Yeah, it will.
This is exactly what will happen.
It is infectious?
Yeah.
Okay, this would be a good
when a
infection.
bar has been set that high and in the industry, you know what the competition is, don't you?
Yeah.
Yes.
Siti?
Yes, please.
I will pray.
The day's proverb?
Yes, indeed. Our proverbs for the whole of this week come from the People's Democratic Republic of Algeria.
Yeah. People's Democratic Republic of Algeria.
Northern Africa.
You're placing it on your map.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
You've located it.
You've
You're
seen
there.
it? Yes.
You're in Algiers.
I'm in Algiers.
Very
I'm
good.
waiting to go to the desert.
This is one of the Maghreb countries, okay?
Yeah.
The one who shows his fear ensures his salvation.
Oh, yes.
The one who shows his fear ensures his salvation. What's the interpretation here?
Luckily, there is a similar proverb here in Kenya. The coward goes home safely every other day. That caution is a good thing. Whatever you're doing, if you exercise caution, the chances of survival are very, very high. But if you're all reckless, being fearful does not mean you're not courageous. But it just means you're cautious every time you're weighing things and choosing the better choice. Then you're likely to survive for longer, unless you're in a place where those types of choices, we would call it emotional intelligence, doesn't count. Merit, competency doesn't count. But otherwise, in the literal sense, the coward gets home safely every other day.
Yeah. We're seeing what's happening in the country now, particularly the drama today, the Senate. The Deputy President will have his turn today, and then the senators will have their opportunity to do what is constitutionally expected of them. Vote on whether to impeach the Deputy President or not. Throughout this whole drama, very many things are happening in the country and very many conversations are going on. Like, what's going on really? Is this a marriage broken? Does this really affect the entire country? Does it mean that the executive cannot function because those two can't function? What are we missing in this whole conversation?
I think what one we are missing is how the presidency, the organ of the presidency, which is what is responsible for chairing executive power, if we place a low bar at the point of forming government, then the smallest misunderstanding will occupy our time and resources become priorities when we have bigger priorities. At this point, one, it also shows the level of our democracy. We are a presidential system of government, but because the president and the deputy president have, I wouldn't say have disagreed, their relationship has irretrievably broken down. This is a divorce, and a nasty divorce. You know, where relatives cannot mediate, not even the fact that your standing
religious leader.
leaders would be able to mediate on this. But as we do all this, what is not clear is what is the cause of this irretrievably broken down marriage. Because as Honorable Mutuse was presenting the grounds for the motion for impeachment, it is not yet clear. There is constitutional violation, which for me, I'm very happy. The bar set in Gachagwa's impeachment. Mithikali Nturi should have gone home forever. Most of our CSAs should not have been reappointed back. They never explained how their wealth was growing when the rest of Kenyans were becoming poorer. So a new bar has been set. I hope we will never go lower. The slightest imagination of constitutional violation for state officers, you go home. So do not imagine that, you know how previously you could not imagine the death of a president. Now you cannot imagine yourself violating the constitution. That's where we start. But this is the amount of energy, the time that both the oversight institutions of the National Assembly and the Senate have given to this just tells you, Kenyans, the political class cares about each other a lot and less about us and the issues that affect us.
You're saying there's no public interest in this?
There is a public interest.
Which one?
The public interest in this particular process is first for us to watch and see whether we are being taken for a ride. Because just think about it. If we are about impeachment for constitutional violation, shouldn't there have been an audit of the entire presidency for the last 2 years? And then we weigh. Of course, right now we must impeach people who are not uniting us. If they are tribal, they must be impeached. It's against ethics. Anybody who steals or interferes with processes, who does not respect institutions.
Pause for a second. Being tribal, what again? It's illegal to be tribal.
No, you must be unite. You must unite. You cannot be discriminatory.
What I'm asking is, I can't be tribal and yet be somebody, a unifying figure. I mean,
does tribal mean
you are divisive?
Divisive. By tribal means you're favoring one ethnic community over another.
Yeah, and what's wrong with that?
It is because it can offend others if not well balanced.
Offense will always be caused. So, I mean, in all honesty, if you look at where this arithmetic plays out well, often is in the civil service.
Yes.
And you'll be told this particular section, there are more people from this tribe than another section, there are more people from this tribe.
Yes.
And then some people come up with an overall assessment and say, the people who occupy most positions in terms of numbers, number 1, 2, 3, 4, excuse me. And they're usually just 4 communities.
Yes.
Yes. And again, if you look at those 4 communities, they're the most populous.
Yes, they are the majority.
So if you were to just talk numerically, they are likely to be more.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
But then we have affirmative action. You see, this tribal subject is something that I feel we need to discuss in detail, because every time it comes up, we have a Western perspective of it, which outlaws it, makes it bad, makes it terrible. And I'm asking why?
First note, I agree with you, City. We are a nation, we are a state of ethnic nation.
Yes, we are.
Which is a good thing.
But diversity is excellent.
Is very, very beautiful. But when it is deployed to exclude, and we forget who else we must try and play in, it becomes problematic. But the truth is, our DNA in Kenya is tribal.
Okay. Look at how we attempted to try.
And we've done it very well, because we even have, quote unquote, negotiated democracy. There are counties that must be formed on the tribal arithmetic.
Yep.
But that's the whole point. You've actually gone to what I was going to say, that the county system of government, among the many things it's supposed to do, was to bring about what we complain about the national government to a point where every locality can be represented by a government.
Yes.
Okay? Yes. But even within those governments, the same complaints, and usually they have a commonality of language and culture, yet they will be complaints. And the complaints usually will be this particular clan, this particular this.
Family.
And even then, from among themselves, you will find they have solutions.
Yes.
They will say, if a governor comes from this particular clan,
the Senate.
No, they break it down. The senator must come from this one.
The deputy governor.
From this one.
Yes.
Woman rep.
Women rep from this one.
Yes.
And the assembly speaker from this one. So they understand it and they balance it. But that story still persists. And yet we see, I'm saying, it plays out. Now, that it plays out, it stops being, in my mind, it's no longer tribal. It's how human beings are inclined. So unless we can diffuse and break up and form a new understanding of what you call a family unit, because it starts from there, I am more likely to look after the interests of my members of my family.
Okay.
I am naturally inclined that way, and it is appropriate that I should do so.
I think,
but public service must rise slightly higher.
No, I'm going by origin.
Okay.
Bad tribalism would be where you are openly casting aspersion and spreading hate against another, right?
Yes.
If you're promoting yours against others, that's bad tribalism.
That's bad. True.
If you're only talking about yours and among other conversations that you're having, what's wrong with that? You're most likely going to do that. That's who you expect it to be. As a Kenyan, you in East Africa, we'll talk about Kenya. Among the 8 states of the East African community.
In Africa and the AU, we'll talk about Kenya first.
Yes.
Why do you have 290
when we go to the World Cup, we talk about Africa.
For equitable representation.
Yes, exactly.
That is,
and who are they representing?
Ethnic communities and families.
But they come together to look at, one, the interests of wherever they come from, and be also the interests of the nation.
Yeah.
So one is able to do all that.
But that's where you're taking us. What are we missing?
I am saying,
what is the heart of the
manner in
something
which
that everybody does, therefore.
The Western perspective is that every time you mention tribal, it's negative. He's being tribal, it's negative.
Yeah.
Okay. No, that one I do agree with you.
And then you harp on that, because that's what you said. What exactly is the cause of this marriage to break between these two people, right? It cannot be that he acquired wealth.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
It can be just because you've acquired wealth,
Yes.
then you and I can't really sit on this table.
How is the problem?
We don't see that. We have not reached that level where we can say that our level of integrity is so high, that one person's level of integrity is so high that if they have questions about their partner's wealth acquisition, then they can come and say, this one I can't deal with.
Without questioning their own wealth acquisition.
Right? It cannot be that this person's level of integrity is so high that because this other person has been going there and saying, you know what, we campaigned, we championed, we contributed votes, we did this. Because of that, I feel this is getting negative, tribal, and I can't deal with that. So for that reason, really, this is we can't say those are the grounds for this marriage to break.
And then you have our members of parliament coming out in the most hypocritical, in fact, raising the bar of hypocrisy, and you're suddenly hearing them talk about morality and wondering what on earth are these people talking about.
Thank you. Therefore, this is largely a distraction. What we are missing is, what are we being distracted from? Is this our biggest problem right now? And if we were to analyze it, imagine if we were to even go based on the ground. People have acquired wealth. We don't want them in power. We would immediately go for a general election.
Yes.
At county level, at national level. What is the other allegation is there's money we do not understand. Most of these state officers work with huge monies. When the rest of us are trying to do very difficult maths on M-Pesa and Pochi la Biashara, then they are working with envelopes. But so it is to ask ourselves, what is this impeachment motion about? Because impeachment, let us not demean it. It is a very strong oversight mechanism for the presidential system of government, for the entire executive, and we have seen it for governors.
Yeah.
But when you look at what is being discussed and the character and nature of all our political parties, they are regional, they are ethnic, even how the positions are shared, it is first who brought the largest number of votes for any political parties.
Yeah.
Whether it is Wiper, Kenya Kwanza. Look at there has been a bit of succession in ODM. That particular succession is based on where the bulk of the votes for ODM come from.
Yeah.
Now, what are we being distracted from? Is it public-private partnerships?
Do you think we're being distracted, or do you think we're just not being told the truth? Because it could be both as well. It could be
very likely
that there's a personal difference that has emerged between these two. Just like there was a personal difference between the President Uhuru Kenyatta and his deputy William. There was a personal difference.
Yeah.
We were never told. We just got to see glimpses of it here and there. But we never really knew what exactly is it that Uhuru and Ruto fell out over.
Yeah.
We don't know what exactly it is that Ruto and Gachagua have fallen out about. We
That's
don't
very
know.
true.
So that could be, they have fallen out in a way that we can't deal with each other. We really, and I've got to show you who the boss is, right? While at the same time, we take advantage of this. As we move this country into this, we are diffusing a couple of things. The country was coming back into issues of Adani every day, Adani this, Adani the other.
Yeah.
Calm down tension, focus on something else. Maybe the rollout on Shif and Shah, there was a lot of pressure building up. It's deflate
IBC and
focus.
The fact that we've not had IBC for the longest time.
IBC was not even coming into a pressure, but to cause this kind of national distraction. But what is it that we could be distracted from, and what is the truth?
I do not know
about this. Is it worth the cost to the general public? Because to the public, there's a cost here. There's a cost that we are paying. All this is costing us time, it's costing us money. It's costing us our politics. It's costing us a lot in terms of what's going on in the country. Is it worth it that we don't know what it is all about?
Yes, it is very much costly that I cannot answer. I don't know whether you have hosted people who can answer whether it is worth the time.
It is.
And whether it is focused on the right place. Remember Kenyans, when we started with reject the finance bill, we called for major changes of governance. We had a problem with all the actions that had been, a number of actions that had been taken by the presidency. That is why there were demands around cabinet, act on corruption, rethink taxation, rethink the policy, get back to your economic blueprint that you had proposed. Now, we do not know why. I am not yet clear what this impeachment is about. If you ask me, it is about political survival and the political future of the person who is currently in power, the president. After this, we are likely to see major realignment, not for Kenya's interest, but for the people who currently feel they are occupying power to make sure they retain it.
Okay,
they survive through to 2027 and retain it.
Okay.
And garner a second term.
Okay, let me throw
at a time when Kenyans are feeling all our entire political leadership needs to be relooked at. You focus on one distractors, but in the process, I see a lot of reorganizing, consolidation of power, both parliamentary power and executive power. Moving forward, I don't know whether we are waiting for the vote that will take place in the Senate. And one thing that the Gachagua impeachment has brought to us, there's the Kenya Kwanza agreement, okay? The positions that were to be shared. All the arbitrators of that impeachment are beneficiaries of that agreement.
Yeah.
Speaker Kingi is a beneficiary. Speaker Wetangula is a beneficiary. Then now you're the one who is overseeing this particular process, where what is communicated to us is there is a problem with how this person has behaved within the broader setup of how we formed political power. So for me, this is about political survival, political patronage moving forward, as opposed to being about us, the people of Kenya.
Let's take a break. 28 minutes to 8. Our guest this morning is Diana Gishengo, the Executive Director of the Institute for Social Accountability. What are we missing in this entire impeachment drama? That's what we are asking ourselves this morning. Let's also see your comments on YouTube and on X, SpiceFM KE, and also on Facebook, where we're live streaming the show.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Thank you very much, Eric, and it's good to be at the Situation Room.
Always a pleasure coming here. This is the most challenging interview panel in Kenya. You guys are very well informed, and as you can see, Charles today, very philosophical.
To be poor in this country is the greatest sin you can commit, not just from a legal perspective, but from life generally. It is very, very skewed.
We've just heard on the floor of Parliament, just most recently, a leader within the ODM saying that sisi ni ng'ombe is a baba.
Yeah.
Which means that you are willing to be milked dry.
You cannot force me to believe. I'll give way. If it's land that I'm told to return to you, I will. Okay? Because the court has said so. But I'll continue saying, hawa watu wamenirusha. That's all that I'm doing.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
The weather with Spice FM.
It's warming up in Nairobi. Currently cloudy at 16, but then it'll rise to 26 later. Warm and sunny in Mombasa at 25. Warm and sunny as well in Malindi at 25. Sunny in Kisumu at 20. Sunny in Nakuru at 15. Cloudy in Nyeri at 16. It's also cloudy in Kakamega at 18 and cloudy in Eldoret at 15. It's sunny in Kampala at 19, 25 and cloudy in Lagos, sunny at 28 in Mogadishu, sunny at 14 in Addis Ababa, 24 and sunny in Dar es Salaam, Johannesburg sunny at 10, Kinshasa partly cloudy at 24, cloudy in Beijing at 18, 17 and cloudy in Paris, cloudy and at 16 in London, and clear skies at 9 in New York.
Spice up your life.
Eastern Bypass into North Airport Road, busy up to City Cabanas Interchange. Imara Daima, busy up to General Motors. And then you find Aerodrome Road is where you'll find some traffic into Bunyala and then into Haile Selassie into town. Landis Road is starting to pick up now. It's busy on Raila Odinga Way into City Moche roundabout. It's also busy just at T-Mall junction of Langata Road, but Langata Road itself is clear. Coming towards town from Westlands, you'll find your traffic at the usual spaces, and this is just from Muga Green into the Ring Road Parklands and Ring Road Westlands intersection. You will also find some traffic on James Gishiru Road. You will not find much traffic on Lower Kabete Road at this time. You will not find much traffic on Limuru Road. You will find quite a bit of traffic on Thika Superhighway. Quite a bit of traffic means it stretches to Delarue near the Outer Ring Road interchange. You will not find much traffic on Kiambu Road. It's being allowed to move and flow faster and faster. Juja Road is actually okay. Only busy around the Moi Air Base, and then thereafter it moves. So, roads are not looking so bad for you right now. Make haste, but be patient as well.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Right, 24 minutes to 8. Our conversation continues with Diana Gishangu. What are we missing in this? Is there anything that's beyond what we are seeing in the impeachment conversation? Diana is saying maybe this is also just leading us into destruction as something is happening. Because of the Gen Z, as a result of the Gen Z protests, there was a lot of, shake-up of the political class. They were like, oh my goodness, this thing could just slip away. So we need to take time. This could be a moment of consolidation. That throughout this impeachment process, now there's a lot of consolidation happening in the background for the political class to rebuild the status quo and strengthen it.
Sure.
That's an interesting hypothesis. So show us. Can you see anything happening in that front? Where is the consolidation?
The consolidation is in the 280 members of parliament.
How?
You have currently, if we were to check based on who supports government and who doesn't, the minority numbers are very much what we saw in the impeachment vote at the National Assembly, and comprises of a few members of parliament drawn from the Kenya Kwanza coalition and Wiper. Minority as literal minority without much power. ODM and the entire Kenya Kwanza coalition is now together and will vote together, will most probably drive business together. You've seen on the Adani bill, the leader of Azimio at the time of constituting government has indicated this thing is a good thing. I know these people. They are good. Please support. With that, you can see they have consolidated power. And if we are to drive anything through parliamentary oversight, it is unlikely. It is unlikely. So the political class has come together for political self-preservation.
But Diana, they didn't need an impeachment to do that.
This is the best way. This is the best way. No.
At the appointment of the cabinet
this is their way of telling us we are together. Do not try. That is what they are communicating to Kenyans. It is one of the ways, the clearest communication. Hey, I hope you can now see how we will be operating. Because look at the process of public participation. We were ticking boxes. All the other views that were given across the nation of what needs to be fixed, I would have hoped that is what the special sitting is about. That this is the mood of the country. What are we doing to remain the august house that is the one that drives national conversations, national dialogues? That has been completely lost. Now, could it also be an opportunity for the president to show that, look here, whoever comes next is my appointee. Nothing about what political clout they hold or anything else. They will be my appointee. And I've had people arguing that the process will be the same as that of the cabinet, a cabinet secretary, lowering the place of the presidency to one person. And let's just use something that I believe strongly, that for us to get the candidate nominated and presented before Parliament, that must be accompanied by a process of clearing by a fully constituted IEBC. If that interpretation was to pass, and a court requires that the nomination of the person who will be voted on by the National Assembly to be our next deputy president must be preceded by a fully constituted IEBC. And we've not had a constituted IEBC for the last 20 months or thereabout. That means the president continues holding presidential power alone.
That's what presidential power means.
That is what president.
Yes.
So maybe this is a time where the current presidency wants to tell us what presidential power means. It is one person that is voted for, and then they determine who else they work with.
Let me ask you a question.
Previously, yes.
What if everything we are seeing has nothing to do with the president?
It has to do with who?
Who tells us what to do? Is the president the only entity in this country who talks to us and tells us what to do? Or when the president makes a decision, does he wake up in the morning? Does his council of advisors, the ministers tell him what to do? Or are there other players who tell him what to do?
I currently, other than the influence we have seen, say, from the current president has alluded to the fact that he relies on his religious foundation. So I think that has an influence. Then there is what we have seen as the influence of, say, the IMF because of where we are with the fiscal consolidation. So far, the things that have been passed or spoken to us and we felt uncomfortable in our throat swallowing, housing levy, SHIF, SHA, Adani, Gachagua, they are driven by the president.
Let me ask you this question again. The reason why I'm asking this question is because which entity has been... Remember, IMF and World Bank didn't just come with in the time of President
Yes, they
Ruto.
came because we had problems.
No, we went to them. They didn't come.
Yes.
We went to them.
Yes.
In a previous time, one of the things they did, every time they gave you money, they came with conditionalities.
Yes.
In the Moi era, that's when we first encountered them. Structural adjustment programs. There was a moral tag to it. And the big push was not just accountability, but the need to deal with corruption. And if you look at the need to deal with corruption, the best way in which one can demonstrate the dealing with corruption is to choose a really big target. It doesn't get bigger than the deputy president. It can only get bigger if it's the president.
Okay.
What I'm saying is this. Everything you say is true, but we are in the realm of speculation.
Yes.
So I'm speculating.
I must now speculate now in plain English. What's your speculation, City?
My speculation is that the moral discussion around corruption and the dealing of impunity has kept coming up whenever we discuss issues to do with IMF and World Bank.
Yes.
And the friendship we have with America. The issue of corruption always comes up and how it ought to be dealt with and what ought to be done. Okay? Now, when somebody who is as high-ranking as a deputy president is now on the dock and is being paraded as the most corrupt person in Kenya, and we know that is not true. Okay? Yes. Where is the pressure coming from? I ask because with the prosecution of the deputy president, anyone who holds political office in this country and who has involved themselves in some form of impunity and corruption, that spotlight is on them. A spotlight that goes that high cannot fail to also illuminate other things that were not intended for.
So you think our cousins from the city have told our big boss to deal with corruption?
To deal with corruption, we need a big example, man. Since we're speculating, we need a big example.
Do you think they provided him the list or the name?
I don't think so. They don't provide you the list. They just say, look, you decide whether it's going to be a minister, whether it's going to be a what, but we need a big candidate that shows that you're actually beginning to deal with this thing. And why I keep emphasizing what my speculation is, why would somebody go on a path that even illuminates you? Because you cannot talk about the deputy president in our country and not talk about the president. It doesn't matter what you do, because it's a presidency. So Why would you go into that? Why would MPs, who themselves have in their own little corner participate in the same activities that equals corruption, talk about this? I mean, surely. I understand hypocrisy. I understand raising the bar on hypocrisy.
So answer that question. So why? So why would he do that? Why would he expose himself? Yet he has other options.
That is why I'm asking the question.
He just fired a cabinet. He could just start proceedings against them.
He didn't.
In those 2 years when you're in office,
Yes.
now we can start. Open a case against so and so. There was an impeachment against you.
Yes,
It didn't go through. Let's
He
look at
could have.
fertilizer.
He didn't.
I'm saying he could have done that. He could have opened a case against 10 people.
And I'm saying
whom he has fired.
And I'm saying
and that will be a lot of light.
True. And when he didn't, what he did was it's like he retrieved lost ground again. Okay, you are not CS now, but you can be advisor. Okay, what is that guy going to advise you on?
So big cousin, if the pressure from the big cousin is spill some blood, bring a lamb. I have set the fireplace for you. Why bring this one, which you has a cord tied to you?
The choice is left to you,
and not another one.
The choice is left to you. So you decide, okay, how can I kill two birds with the same stone? See, the question you asked earlier on then comes into play. It's never one thing when it comes to politics and politicians. You think it's this. Everything you suggest, it could be all those things you've suggested. But we tend to focus on one, and it isn't one. It never is one. If I move this piece here, and I move this piece here, and I move this piece here, the deputy president in the Uhuru government was not wrong when he complained about the handshake.
Yeah.
Because the moment there was a handshake, the whole structure shifted.
True.
It has shifted now.
Yeah. There's a hug shake.
It shifts. And when it shifts, what else happens? If I'm to be completely conspiratorial, okay? And let my conspiracy mind do roaming. How did the handshake come about? When this guy had sworn on the ancestors and everybody else that this would never happen, they didn't leave anything. They swore by, they swore, and so you wonder, why?
Playing to the gallery.
Precisely. So I am simply saying.
But so now it would therefore mean we have chosen to play to the global and Big Brother gallery, because then Kenyans are not convinced one bit. And even in that particular script, by the time the deputy president was being nominated, and that is part of the skunk that we are dealing with, this guy had so many cases that the then director of public prosecution withdrew. Right?
Oh, that we do very well in this country.
They've not even been reinstated.
It's something we do. It's something that if you've seen over time, there will not be insufficient evidence. There will be no witnesses. Something will come up, or there is evidence, but it doesn't meet the threshold. That's something that we do.
City, I would say, if this is how Big Brother likes to see things being action, they really have a high affinity for dramatizing things. This is just a dramatized sense that we are dealing with corruption.
If you think that is a problem, look at these austerity measures. We talk about it every day.
Yes.
Those things have never worked anywhere.
They have never.
Never.
Yeah.
Capital N and circled in red. So, we're experimenting on something that has been experimented on before, and the results are known. Why?
Because somebody must retain control.
Now, if you understand that, you see, again, I'm speculating here.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
Because they leave it to you. They say, we want something to happen, so we leave it to you. You decide how you're going to go about it.
Then they give us something that distracts us. There will be, now we are quiet and so on. Then we say we have voluntarily submitted ourselves to an IMF diagnostic.
Political quarrels are never political.
Yes.
They are problems with money. Money is involved somewhere.
Okay.
I cannot pinpoint and tell you where.
City, are you saying this is part of how we are fulfilling a conditionality?
Yes. If my speculation bears fruit, I would go in that direction. But even more importantly, bear in mind, looking at everything that we are dealing with and what is actually going on, we had the CS for finance, and he was bold enough to tell us that, some of these matters to do with our defaulting, it won't arise. The people who can determine that are the people I've been referring to. Because left on our own, we'll default very nicely.
Okay.
Yes.
So we are captives. This could be a process that manifests.
Captive. We are.
Guys are giving too much brain to this thing, but
as I said,
you really think there's so much, scheming and happening, and that's play the game.
It's a simple thing. Get somebody big, so that we can see you're dealing with the corruption.
So that we can see. So that we can see.
You're dealing with corruption.
Yeah.
Because what are we talking about? Corruption. And believe me,
let's follow
Eric,
next week.
I really find it strange that...
getting rid of somebody from a state office doesn't necessarily deal with corruption.
Yeah.
It doesn't.
Optics.
There's no optic there because there's no corruption.
There's nothing.
There's nothing that we're talking. In fact, look at the public conversation, City. The bigger accusation against the deputy president is not about even the acquisition of wealth. It is the tribal connotation. That's a bigger one. The issue of corruption, there's nothing that has been tied to stole from public to yourself. In fact, the bigger accusations here is you have disenfranchised your fellow inheritors from an inheritance.
Yeah.
This is the big... There's nothing here that is corruption.
Eric, when you are asked to explain how it is you acquired a certain amount of money, what do you think they're talking about?
That is just talk.
No, that is mere talk. It is mere talk.
Allow me to rephrase my question.
It is such a terrible...
When somebody talks about money and points to the fact that you can't clearly indicate where you got your money, that is a topic of corruption.
Yes, it
is an allusion.
Yes.
They're alluding to corruption.
Yes, it is.
They're alluding to corruption and leaving it at that.
And it's absolutely... And there's absolutely
that doesn't get us anywhere.
My friends, I am not proposing, neither am I saying, I'm merely speculating, and I'm telling you that when you understand how certain institutions and people think about certain matters, then you are forced to look and ask, if we're looking at all these things, why are we not looking at this? That is my contribution.
Our certain bigger institutions that you allude to, our big cousins from the big city with the many lights, those ones, when they talk about corruption, they talk about corruption in terms of prosecution, conviction, and punishment. And the acquisition of the illegally acquired wealth, right? That's what they usually talk about. That's the push. That's how Moi ended up creating the Kenya Anti-Corruption Authority those days, right? It was a push for how do you deal with corruption? You must prosecute. You must take. You must... Not that you must talk about corruption publicly. Otherwise, we do that all the time.
Eric, we went...
A new political conversation about, corruption and, some illegally acquired wealth or accusations there.
Or quote unquote a lack of national values.
That is nothing new, Buana. That can't make that cousin happy.
How many times?
Imagine they couldn't even show the 5 billion.
Forget showing the
that
5
can't
billion.
make the cousin happy. If that cousin is the cousin that you're talking about, that cousin wants tangible. There's nothing tangible here, Buana.
Eric, when you think about neoliberalism, for people just to continue accumulating their power and capital, they make sure that they win everything about active citizenship, about public life, and then they make sure we empty our intellectualism. So, but they can stoop that low to be pleased or to rely on this.
It's not
probably. I will watch because I'll take part. I'm following closely what our big brothers will be doing during their annual meetings, and whether then we as Kenya will go and say, "Oh, you have seen, we are addressing corruption at the highest level." But gosh, this is just doom. No. It can't be. But it is very, very possible. I hope Kenyans can see.
As I said, I am speculating.
Yeah. And you did not put any watchmen against any pushback on your speculation.
Oh, the pushback is actually...
It's not even like pushback, actually. It's discussion of the speculation.
Eric, the pushback is necessary.
You know me, I'm just speculating. No, you have to defend your speculation.
I have defended it.
Move your mind to the end.
And I've received the pushback. And the pushback is good because it helps illuminate the very discussion that we're having here as to what it is that forms voodoo discussion, and you say, no, Chief, that thing can't work. Forget it. Tupambali. Okay? Then you move on to a different issue. So what exactly are we talking about?
Okay.
Because
that means
all these things that we hear and we reading, many of those things don't make sense.
That's true.
Okay.
The bottom line is we actually do not know what's going on.
What's going on?
Right?
Precisely.
Your speculation could be something. Diana's speculation, it's all about political realignment and all. It could be the bottom line is it's speculation, but the Wanjiko who needs to go to hospital today, that person in which sub-county who needs condoms?
This is in Meru County.
Which sub-county was it?
It's Meru.
Imenti
South.
Imenti South.
Yes.
Right?
They don't have condoms.
They need.
And they haven't had it for 3 months.
Yeah.
And those more people will die from lack of dialysis.
They're not getting their.
Oh, that is a constant.
The child who is in grade 7 today and going into grade 8, or the one in grade 8 and going into grade 9 tomorrow, next year, is still heading there without a teacher.
True.
Right?
True.
These are the things that are actually happening. The bottom line is those who are supposed to be delivering a service from government are not working as expeditiously in delivering that service. They're not putting as much effort as we are seeing the effort they're putting here.
Students
even having an extra sitting on an extra day, 2 sittings on a Friday, so we can maybe discuss some of these issues. And yet there are so many pending bills. Yet there are so many other issues. Yes, there are so many conversations that should be happening on inviting people to the National Assembly to ask them, where are we in terms of the rollout of SHA? Are we satisfied with the rollout of SHA? Are we satisfied that SHA is actually delivering as it should have? Those questions are not being asked.
Are not being asked.
It is this one.
By anyone. The higher education model will continue running. CBC students will have no classrooms. We will continue to sink deeper into misery and poverty. But I think we have shown we can organize ourselves. Let's not allow all the big brothers, cousins, and everybody else to continue just tramping over us as Kenyans. I like that we are all clear. This is a distraction. This is not what our biggest. It's not our problem.
Let me ask you, why would somebody create a distraction? The distractions are there for a purpose.
Because
what do you want to achieve?
They must secure other interests. And you're very right. Both political and economic is at the heart. The social is always left out because we come at the very end and we can be convinced very close to 2027. For now, if the political and economic interests are secured at whatever cost, so be it. If it is true, your speculation that this is about what then the people who control our economic fortunes want, clearly they will realize Kenyans and most other people have not been convinced. Because if you people in the media have not been convinced, I am very happy, because then the narrative will not make the impact or the waves it ought to. Something else will be created yet again. So I think it's about economic and political interests. Somebody somewhere is accumulating a lot of power and money as we focus on the Senate until midnight.
Yeah. Diana, thank you for joining us today. Have a good one.
Thank you for having me.
We will be watching and seeing what happens in the Senate today, in the National Assembly tomorrow, in the country going forward. Like you said, there's still a matter of the IEBC. It's a battle in court on the composition of the panel for the IEBC.
Not yet the appointment.
Jeez. Keep it here for more conversations. We continue with this. We'll be joined by lawyer Dunstan Omari in the next hour. At 9 o'clock, we'll open up the phone lines. We want to hear what your thoughts are on all these impeachment proceedings. This is Kenya's biggest conversation, the Situation Room, reminding you that the Aga Khan University Hospital has rolled out their home-based care, and you can access it. Speak to Aga Khan. It's 8 a.m.
Spice up your life.
Morning, this is the Newswire. I'm Leah Ubaga. Members of Parliament have raised concerns over the continued sale of pesticides and herbicides deemed harmful in other countries. Led by Vice Chairperson Robert Gichumi, that is Gishungu MP, the Committee on Delegated Legislation summoned officials from the Ministry of Agriculture to explain the reason for permitting the sale of toxic products. Gishumi added that some of the herbicides currently sold in agrovets like Roundup have been declared toxic, as critics have claimed it causes cancer. In response, Paul Nguraia, the acting general manager in charge of research and strategy at Pest Control Products Board, said that the regulator makes decisions based on science. The official also noted that all agricultural products undergo a thorough process before receiving approval, citing that they are safe if used correctly. Security measures have been put in place in Kilifi County ahead of the national exams that are expected to kick off from October 28th to 30th. Deputy Commissioner Patrick Masongo says the strategies are aimed at dealing with exam cheating. He further said that plans have been put in place to deal with exam transportation in the eventuality of bad weather conditions like heavy rains.
Kuhusu mitihani ambayo tunatarajia, nataka kusema kwamba upande wa security tuko gangari, tumejipanga ya kutosha, hakuna jinsi ya kuiba. Na wale ambao wangetaka kutumia njia hizo zozote zile za kuweza kuiba mtihani, wajue kwamba tuko gangari. Pengine ikitokea mvua, lakini hii wakati huu tumeshajipanga, tunajua area zetu nyingi hazina lami, barabara isipoweza kupitika. Ukweli ni kwamba magari ambayo tunatarajia kutumia ni 4-wheel drive, na tunatarajia kwamba mitihani yote itaweza kufika wakati unaofaa.
Masanga further revealed that exam supervisors wouldn't be allowed into the examination room with their mobile phones to curb cheating.
Vile tunavyojua ni kwamba mitihani mingi huibiwa kupitia vifaa hivi vya simu, na ni kwamba katika vituo vyote simu haitaruhusiwa kwa yote yule, si mwalimu, si invigilator, si supervisor wala askari mwenye atakuwa katika kituo hicho. Katika mwanzo wa kuingia katika kituo cha mitihani, simu zote zitawekwa kwa store na zitaweza kufungiwa, zitakaa under key and lock mpaka mwisho wa mtihani, ndio mwenyewe ataweza kurudishwa kifaa chake.
A fire broke out in a village at Nyeri County, burning 3 children of the same family to death. Masaba North Sub-County Commissioner Stella Wanyela says the 3 aged 12, 9 and 4 were burnt last night while they were sleeping in a wooden house in the village. Their bodies have been moved to Gucha Hospital mortuary with investigations underway. And for the second day today, the Senate will continue hearing the case of impeachment against Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua from 9 o'clock. Gachagua will have 2 hours to defend himself against the 11 charges he denied yesterday before the lawyers of the National Assembly are given time to cross-examine him. In yesterday's session, Kibwezi West MP Mwengi Mutuse, who presented the motion in the National Assembly, presented evidence to defend the charges against the DP. Mutuse presented evidence to show that Gachagua ordered for the eviction of people living near the Nairobi River, as well as attacked Judge Maina due to her decision in a corruption case that involved him. Mutuse father used a video claiming that the DP attacked NIS boss, accusing him for failing to advise the president over the Gen Z protests.
He has said in the clip that we have played that officers of the National Police Service have told him in confidence that they had not received advance intelligence reports. That is what was contemplated by this oath of due execution of office, what Senior Counsel Orengo called addressing fears. That if a matter is committed to you as a state officer in secrecy, it must remain in secrecy. If you take it to a public press conference, then you have gone against your oath of office, and that is an impeachable offense.
And in the international scene, the risk of cholera spreading in Lebanon is very high. The World Health Organization has warned after a case of the acute and potentially deadly diarrhea infection was detected in the conflict-hit country. The WHO highlighted the risk of cholera spreading among hundreds of thousands of people displaced since Israel escalated an air campaign against Hezbollah and launched a ground offensive intended to push the group back from its northern border with Lebanon. Lebanon's health ministry said a cholera case had been confirmed in a Lebanese national who went to hospital suffering from watery diarrhea and dehydration and has no history of trouble. That's the Newswire. I'm Leah Ubaga.
102.5 SpiceFM, Kisumu.
Peak traffic hour, so it's looking like it's building up in other areas. Well, Thika Superhighway is not so bad today. It's usual spots from KSMS coming towards town, and Kembu Road is also not so bad. It's actually at Muthaiga. So what do we see on Langata Road? It's busy as along the Uhuru Gardens along the Wilson Airport coming to T-Mall Junction, and then it clears up from there. You'll only find traffic next at Aerodrome Road. It's busy a little bit on Mbagathi Way as you approach the City Mortuary roundabout. Mombasa Road has been busy as the usual spot, and this is at Imara Daima coming towards town after General Motors. It clears and it gets all right. You'll not find it even at Nyayo Stadium roundabout. You'll not find it at Bunyala roundabout. You'll be moving smoothly. Jogoo Road busy on Makadara, and Landis Road is busy. And then we have Outer Ring Road, which has been busy. This is around Feather Estate. North Airport Road is crazy, heading towards City Cabanas, and then it will not be so bad. Coming to town from Westlands, you will find traffic as you approach the mall, and then thereafter it clears. Kabete Road is not so bad. Limuru Road is busy right now as you approach the UN Avenue. That's where you'll find the traffic.
This is the Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Okoh, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latiff, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
8 minutes after 8, good morning and welcome to the third hour of Kenya's biggest conversation. This is the Situation Room. Thank you very much for joining us this morning. Asante sana wherever you're tuned in from, on SpiceFM, on YouTube and Facebook and X and Instagram and TikTok and Radio Garden, everywhere, as we continue looking at what's happening at the Senate today and also just following up on what else is happening across the country. We know that the rollout of Shifsha is still ongoing. There are many questions and there are many answers that are being given and many promises that are being made on what's expected to happen. We also see that the Cabinet Secretary for the National Treasury was here yesterday as he's about to mark 50 days in office. He had a press conference yesterday where he addressed the press conference and said the things that he's going to do. So there are many things that are happening, even as the impeachment for the Deputy President also happens in the Senate, and the drama continues as well in the courts. It's about us understanding what's going on. It's also about us understanding the power of our Constitution. Until we test it fully, we can't start talking about, oh, it's not working. How do we know it's not working? The only way to know it's not working is if we actually do try and test it. So we are joined by Odoyo Widi, who is a political analyst, and hopefully at some point we'll be joined by Dunstan Omari, advocate of the High Court. Odoyo, good morning.
Good morning, my brother.
How are you doing?
I'm well, strong.
You're keeping well?
And active.
Very good.
Yes.
Well, strong and active. That's a good thing. So CT will welcome you with the day's proverb, and as CT does that, we're also going to make sure that he does not forget to tell you about the Aga Khan University Hospital and a new program they're calling home-based care. CT.
Yes. Let me start with the proverbs.
Mm-hmm.
Our proverbs for this week come from the People's Democratic Republic of Algeria.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? The one who shows his fear ensures his salvation.
The one who shows his fear ensures his salvation.
Yes.
Odoyo, what's your interpretation of this proverb?
Cowards live longer.
Cowards live longer.
Yeah.
So it's better to be a coward than to stand up and start showing you're courageous.
Yes. Yeah? You know, in Luo they say, the brave The brave what? Is it not rhino? The other animal is buffalo. It's the one who has its skin used to make a shield. Buffaloes.
They fight.
Yeah, buffaloes have a very thick skin, and it is normally used to make shields. And the brave one that goes in front always ends up with its skin on the shield.
The ones behind,
those ones,
no one touches them.
No one touches them.
They go with their skin to the afterworld. Well, that's a big thing. That's a very big thing. So it's good to have you here, Odoyo, and we'll have this conversation. At 9 o'clock, we'll open the phone lines. We want to hear people's perspective from what we've seen in the National Assembly, we've seen in the courts, and now we are seeing in the Senate. What do we make of this whole drama and hullabaloo? Advocate Dunstan Omari is also here. Good morning, Wakili.
Morning. Hi.
Very well.
It told me he was being impeached, so I'm here.
I'd wondered. Kwani, what happened? Not impeached, not abducted.
None of that.
Very good.
Good.
It's good to have you here.
Thank you.
So you just missed the proverb, but we'll repeat the proverb. City.
We will.
Go again.
But this time, I will tell you about Aga Khan University Hospital and then tell you the proverb.
Okay.
Whenever one thinks of a hospital, one thinks of a journey you must make to a certain institution. The Aga Khan University Hospital is saying that for you to receive care, you do not need to go to a hospital. The hospital can come to you. And how does a hospital do that? One, the caregivers, the doctors, the nurses can actually come to your home and provide the services you would have needed in a hospital. If you require medicine brought to you, they can do that. If you can require tests that can be taken to a lab, they will take the specimens that are required, whether it is stool, whether it's urine, then take it to a lab and bring you back the results. If you require physiotherapy, they'll be able to provide it for you at home. All these things will be done in the comfort of your home. That is taking home-based care to a completely different level. But that's what the Aga Khan University Hospital promises, that they can do and have been doing and will continue doing.
It's not a beautiful thing, Dunstan, isn't it?
Fantastic news.
Yeah.
Now that we have working at home, now we have being in hospital at home.
Yes.
I'm sure not going to be leaving my house because supermarkets now also deliver.
Exactly.
You see, they learned from Spice. Spice, you listen it at home, at your bedroom, everywhere.
Wherever you are.
It sets the pace, and they are followed. Thank you for following Spice.
Now a repeat of the proverb from the People's Democratic Republic of Algeria. Thank you very much, Lord Dunstan Omari. Asante sana. Tumeshukuru.
Asante.
The one who shows his fear ensures his salvation.
The one who shows his fear
ensures his salvation. Yes.
What's your interpretation of this one?
For those ones who think they are heroes, people walk there crying and mourning out of death. Those ones who respect and calculate, they are sure that they'll be living tomorrow, whether they are called cowards, whether they are called what. That is my interpretation.
Good one. So are they telling us that these people that it's better to be a coward?
It's better to be calculative and not to be a coward. Calculativeness is the whole issue. The impeachment we are looking at, is it a calculated move from both sides or it is a blind move?
Okay.
Those ones who are calculative walk out victorious. Those who didn't calculate and anticipate the type of attacks that they are going to face, then they get flat-footed.
What do you make of that, actually, now that you've brought it up? So in this impeachment motion, looking at the both sides, and there are many both sides here.
Yeah.
Okay, there's the both side of the National Assembly now that we're in the Senate, but there's the both side from the accusers. The accusers are not just Mwengi Mutuse. The accusers are a group of people who sat down and said, you know what, we have got to deal with this. From those side and from the other side of the Deputy President, who do you think is more calculating?
The accusers calculated to the point that upon them releasing the attacks, the Deputy President will resign. They never anticipated that he will stand to the last. So they are trying to catch up to deal with the areas they never anticipated the deputy president to go. So they have been found off guard. And that is the fumbling that you saw in the Senate is purely for none of they listen to their case. As a lawyer, I'll tell you, you listen more to the other side, not to yourself. They listened to themselves, they prepared their case, they never prepared for the defense. And the defense listened to them and prepared their case. So in my own view, I think the deputy president's imagination is that he's going to be at the Supreme Court. His preparation is to the Supreme Court. The accusers imagined he'll throw in the towel when the motion passed. So that is, to me, the accusers didn't calculate well.
Why do you think they would imagine he would throw in the towel? For what?
It was more of a...
If you have to put yourself in their head, right?
In their head. They imagined that the type of allegations that they have put across are so ignominious that any reasonable person will not want to defend himself. That is why Mutuse put everything. Bring 100 companies, just put them there. Put figures, 5 billion. Put things that nobody can deal with the question of stealing from a dead brother. All these things were aimed to whip emotions. The tide started when public participation came in. It was a rude shock. The second issue came to the second public participation at the constituency level. The story changed that let all these two people go home. It's not about the deputy president, it's about the presidency. Let them go home. The story came, the deputy president is now ready after being whitewashed to 81, to 40-something. He's still standing tall. Fake letters came. He has resigned. He has resigned. He has called SpiceFM to resign. All of those were hot air. He appears in the Senate. The man is still there, listening and ready to fight. And he's determined to move further. After failing 29 times in court, he's still standing tall. That tells you there is some sense of a calculated response from the deputy president's attack. This has scattered the attackers, and the attackers have changed tactic. The real attackers of UDA, the real movers of UDA, have left the skunk to ODM. It is now ODM. None of them appeared at the Senate, or if they were there, Spies did not see their faces because they had masks. They did not appear. And I'm telling you, they will not appear. The skunk has become so big.
They're walking away from it.
They are walking away from it. They will only appear to vote as voting robots. Because the question is, the debate has now moved away from Parliament, from Senate to the public. And the public seems to be listening to the DP. The public seems to be looking at are there charges that qualify for an impeachment. So this is the whole issue that we are dealing with today.
Okay. Odoyo, what do you think? Which of the two sides is more calculating from your view?
I think the option of calculating cannot be there on the side of the DP. It is the accusers who must have calculated. You know, when you are planning something, it is important that you do what we call an end-to-end planning. Plan from the beginning up to the end of the project. Whoever brought this, actually, there's one mistake probably was made by the planners. I think Mutuse may have not been the best. They would have needed a seasoned lawyer to do that. Nevertheless,
what do you mean,
boss.
Mutuse was articulate when he was presenting his case
It is
in the
okay.
National Assembly.
It is okay.
Even yesterday,
very articulate.
during cross-examination in
It is
chief,
okay.
he was very good.
It is okay. Let's move on. You know, I saw the way, okay, the charges against the DP remain real and remain true. But I saw the way lawyers ran roughshod over Mutuse. That I cannot allow even when I am not one. You cannot start asking me questions that are very unrelated to what is before us. And you tell me that you must answer. I will tell you no. I have personally gone before even the Senate and told them, don't tell me about standing orders. I have never been elected to Parliament or Senate anytime. So don't tell me, just get the information from me and we move on. That is how you deal with these people. But when you cower and step one step back, they will demand 5 of them. Mm-hmm. Nevertheless, Rigathi brought this upon himself. And I have listened to the way the lawyers were trying to confuse the senators and even the accusers. Listen, last night, they are telling you, let's read what agreements we had in Ford Kenya, ANC and UDA about shares. But they are forgetting that what the DP was talking about was not shares to political parties. It was shares to regions and people of Kenya.
What's the difference?
The difference is political parties can have anybody in Kenya. And you can move from one political party to another without costs. But you cannot move from your community to another without cost. You cannot move from one region to another without cost. And those agreements that were made on the basis of shares, 30%, they were made between political formations, between political parties. What Rigathi has been talking about are shares to communities and regions, which is against the Constitution. So those lawyers simply went to confuse those people. And I noticed most people did not even notice that confusion they were bringing along. So I think Rigathi Gachagua still deserves to go home so that we have sanity in Kenyan politics.
Mr. Widi.
Yes, sir.
Surely. You, of all people, should know that our political parties, by and large, represent ethnic regions. By and large.
Him of all people, why?
Because he's a politician.
and I do agree with you.
Yes, by and large.
But we must not allow politicians to hide behind coded language.
Yes, because the national representation of political parties exists.
Of course.
In fact, bless you, the really large political parties have that representation that you speak of. But the smaller ones, they are...
I think what you are talking about is true but not logical. Look at Mombasa. The Secretary General of UDA is from Mombasa. The chairman is from Mount Kenya. The treasurer is from Kisii, and so on. So that party cannot be a regional party.
The deputy party
and
leader,
the deputy party leader is from Mount Kenya, and so on. But
from Nyeri.
But when the DP comes to talk about regions, to talk about people, anasema watu ambao wako na shares, watu ambao walitupigia kura. He is not talking about parties ambao walitupigia kura.
He's talking
parties ambao wako na shares. He's not talking about that. He's talking about people and regions, which the Constitution bans.
But
those agreements that were made, that they were relying on, that they were saying he is following his leaders, he is following the agreements were made. The agreements were made between political parties, actually political formations. Political parties have everybody in Kenya.
Okay. Did Kenya Kwanza receive votes from regions?
Exactly. Bring me to another thing.
Are there regions that overwhelmingly voted for Kenya Kwanza?
They are.
Okay. Yes. Are there regions that underwhelmingly voted for Kenya Kwanza?
Yes.
Did the president come to the region that you come from and say, lakini nyinyi watu bwana hata nyinyi bwana. Yeye ni ungwana bwana, yeye mlinipatia kura ngapi?
Exactly.
Did he do that?
Exactly.
Spoke about the region.
So
he didn't speak about the village.
So when Rigathi Gachagua was talking about regions voting for them, he knew who comes from those regions. But political parties which had agreements before the elections, you cannot tell which region is those parties. It is from the votes that you begin to see, majority of the votes came from these communities which are living in these regions. So when you talk about the shares are distributed according to voting, you mean tribes and regions. You don't mean political parties. The agreements that are accepted in law are agreements between political parties.
It could be argued. It's your interpretation, which is very good.
Same as not interpretation, it's reality.
Reality, which is very good. Yes. Same as the reality that, for example, PA is predominantly a Kilifi party. Same as the reality that Maendeleo Chap is predominantly a Ukambani party. Same as the reality that UDA is predominantly Rift Valley, North Rift, and Mount Kenya. Same as the reality that ODM is predominantly where? Nyanza, Coast, Western. Same as the reality that Ford Kenya is predominantly
Bukusu.
Bas. Is that reality?
Let's look at it. Let's look at it this way.
Is that reality?
Let's look at it this way. I like your choice of predominantly.
Yes.
You are not saying UDA is equivalent to Rift Valley or equivalent to Central. Yeah,
No.
Predominantly. But remember, as you say ODM is predominantly the lake. Do you realize that that lake has only about 2 million voters active? But how many votes did they get? Almost 7 million. It means we cannot run away from the fact that political parties include the whole country.
Of course.
And in fact, when you go to say Mombasa,
that's why
you find
the winning
Kenya
candidate in the election had 50% plus one.
Sorry?
The winning candidate in the
Exactly.
election had 50% plus 250,000. Was it?
Yes. So it is to mislead the public to try to tell them that political parties can be matched into regions. The only things that can be matched into regions are communities. And Rigathi Gachagua has relied on people and communities and regions. He has not relied on political parties. And the agreements that talks about shares that he was referring to, that they were citing in the Senate, were signed between political parties, political formations, not regions and not communities.
How did they leave you out of the team that's supposed to help prosecute this matter?
They left me because your friend made sure I don't appear anywhere worth it. I would be in Bunge today if it's not your brother.
Oh, what do you mean?
And who is my friend and brother?
Please, let's leave that for another day. Siku yake itakuja. It came here and you know how hot it was.
Where do you see? So, Wakili Danstan Omari says that he sees the deputy president going all the way to the Supreme Court.
Yes.
Right? And that the accusers had seen the deputy president having vacated Karen by now.
Yes.
Right? Where do you see this ending?
Let me tell you, our Wakili are also human beings. They are also driven by emotions. They are also driven by the side they choose to support. But when you look at the Constitution, this process is supposed to end at the Senate. If it proceeds beyond the Senate, it only means that maybe the DP has grievances about the process, and that would take him there. But by that time, we will have a gazette notice indicating that we do not have him as our DP. So hiyo plan yao pia ni yao na hawa pia wako na yao. So waende Supreme Court when they are not the DP.
Can I weigh in?
Yes.
4 critical issues come into place. 1, the DP is being accused of being a tribalist, of having a notion of shares, being that he was fighting for the shares of the Murima. I want Kenyans to be very clear on this matter. Look at all appointments. All appointments are gazetted in the Kenya Gazette. Nowhere you'll see a DP having appointed even a cook. The office of the deputy president does not have any power to appoint a parastatal head, to appoint an ambassador, to appoint a PS, to appoint anybody. All appointments presidential are signed by His Excellency Dr. William Samoei Ruto. Where is Gachagwa's signature? All cabinet appointments are done by cabinet secretaries. Gachagua is not a cabinet secretary. Anybody trying to link Gachagua to tribalism. For example, I come from a community called the Gusii. We don't have a PS. It is not Gachagua who appointed the 16 PSs from Rift Valley and the 16 PSs from one region called Mount Kenya. So let us face the reality. Nowhere has Gachagua appointed any Kikuyu into any position. not even his own house girl. It is the Public Service Commission and State House that sends those people there. The second notion, my good brother says, political parties are predominantly region-based. Let me be very, very, very clear. ODM has joined UDA into government, and I said they have carried the skunk of prosecuting.
They have denied that. They have said they have not joined the government.
They have denied, and I will give that. They were given 5 slots. The Attorney General and 5 cabinet positions. They give 2, 3 to Luo Nyanza. Get it very clear, Luo Nyanza is not Nyanza. Nyanza has 3 predominant communities. The Kuria, the Luos, they have assimilated the Subas and the Gusi. So when we talk of Luo Nyanza, it is very, very different. ODM is a purely Luo Nyanza party. Third issue, my good brother has put it very clearly that by Friday, Parliament has been summoned to vet the incoming DP. Let Kenyans get this very clear. A replacement and assumption of office of a deputy president is the same as that of the president. It will be gazetted. They will do it at Kasarani between 10 to 2 p.m., just like Ruto was handed over power. So anybody lying that they will swear in the incoming deputy president at midnight, that cannot happen. There is a trick to try to do the Sonko style. When the judgment was being read, there was a judge at the City Hall to swear in the deputy Kananu as a governor. By the time somebody was going to court, already there was a governor. Remember, the law talks of that within 14 days after the vacancy arises of a deputy president, a name shall be nominated. That name should be taken to Parliament to be discussed within 60 days. What does that mean? This is not an appointative position. This is an elective position. It is not like cabinet. The deputy president, once nominated, becomes an elected person. The issues that are going to arise, Latiff, is who is going to verify that lady, that man, that nominee's ID. The IBC does that. Who is going to check whether he has dual citizenship? The IBC does that. Who is going to check whether he is in the voters register? The IBC does that. Who is going to check whether he's above 35 years? The IBC does that. There is a constitutional lacuna. In the event Gachagua leaves, how do we deal with that question? Ruto and Gachagua presented their documents to the IBC. They were cleared to be the ballot. The cabinet ministers do not present their papers to the IBC.
I'd like to ask you a question.
Very well.
Eric, are we going to a break?
Let's take a break.
Let's take a break.
Let's take a break.
26 minutes to 9. As we go into this break, Wakili, maybe this is showing calculation.
Serious.
Maybe this is calculation. You know? So there's a vacancy in the office of the deputy president which cannot be filled. Maybe this is calculation.
Fine, it's calculation.
26 minutes to 9.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Save money on your rising electricity bill with StarTime Solar Home Solution. We offer a complete home and commercial energy saving system that includes solar panels with 15-year warranty, lithium battery with 10 years warranty, and an inverter with 5 years warranty. StarTime Solar Home Solution is efficient, reliable, and safe to power essential appliances, complete home lighting, refrigerators, air conditioners, washing machines, microwaves, iron box, instant shower, and entertainment devices, television, computers, Wi-Fi, and so much more. Say yes to reduced electricity bills and call us today on 0719 077 777 and get started on your green energy journey today. StarTime Solar. Power your life.
The weather with SpiceFM.
It is warming up in Nairobi, currently 19 degrees, sunny in Kakamega 21, sunny in Mombasa 26 and 28, and sunny in Malindi, sunny in Kisumu at 23, sunny in Nakuru at 18, sunny in Nyeri at 19, highs of 23. Later today in Eldoret, currently cloudy at 17. It's also sunny in Kampala at 21, in Kinshasa at 24, in Johannesburg at 13, light rain in Lagos at 25, mostly sunny in Mogadishu at 28, sunny in Addis Ababa at 17, in Dar es Salaam it's sunny at 26, highs of 31. Paris, cloudy at 17, London cloudy at 16, New York clear skies at 8, and Beijing it's cloudy at 18.
Spice and everything nice. Spice FM.
Spice up your life.
The roads are actually behaving quite well today. Lower Kabete Road, no traffic at all. Red Hill Link Road into ABC Place, nothing. James Geshoro into and out of ABC Place, nothing. Coming towards Westlands, you'll only find traffic as you approach the non-existent bus stages as you get into the Ring Road, and that's at the mall. And then thereafter it clears. You'll find a bit of traffic at Museum Hill heading into town around Boulevard and coming into Limuru Road interchange with Wangari Maathai Road. You'll also find traffic on Murang'a Road as you approach Ngara into the Globe Cinema roundabout. You'll find traffic on Landis Road. It's pretty much moving okay on Jogoo Road to City Stadium. Pretty much moving okay on Mombasa Road into Nyayo Stadium, into Bunyala Road, Langata Road into all areas, even into T-Mall Junction is all right. It's okay on Bagathi Way until you get to the area approaching the City Mortuary roundabout. Kenyatta Avenue into town is looking busy. Juja Road into town is also not looking so bad. North Airport Road into town, not bad. Even Outer Ring Road around Feather Estate is actually also not very bad.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
High-stakes games of politics that we are seeing right now in the country with the impeachment of Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua. That's what we're discussing. Remember, in the next hour, we'll allow you to call in. We'll open the phone line 0719-012-600. Odoyo Widi is a political analyst and Danstan Omari is an advocate of the High Court. So we are seeing all these things. Wakili, take us through this from your legal interpretation. Once there's a vacancy in the office of the Deputy President, the Constitution says that within 14 days, go on.
Once there's a vacancy, and that vacancy is not declared by the Speaker, it is declared by the IEBC commissioners.
What?
The vacancy of a Deputy President is not declared by the President nor the Speaker. It is the IEBC's mandate. Once it is declared, the president has 14 days to nominate a candidate.
Wait, let's pause there. So even in the event of death, it's the IEBC that will gazette the vacancy?
It is them who declare.
Why? Where does it say that?
I can't be carrying the Constitution here, but under the IEBC Act, that is a preserve of the IEBC under the IEBC Act.
To declare vacancies.
To declare vacancy. The Speaker will gazette.
Writs.
They will gazette. The IBC will declare that this place is now vacant. The president, within 14 days, shall nominate a person. That person's name shall be moved to the Speaker of the National Assembly. Within 60 days, that name shall be discussed. And if approved by 2/3 majority.
It doesn't say that in the Katiba.
It might be my constitution I'm reading, but that is the law. It must be taken to Parliament. Parliament has set a precedent that any matter being discussed, public participation is required. Any matter being discussed. So which means we are going to go to public participation. And this time, the question that will be there during the argument, you heard my good lawyer, Ongoya, ask, is public participation restricted to a county? Deputy presidents are elected at the polling station. The presidential polling results end at the polling station. So people will be going to court saying public participation should be at the polling station. That is the whole issue. But the journey is long. Those who listened to Justice Mwita when he said that the 29 cases, we will wait because of the philosophy of Montesquieu of separation of powers, let Parliament do their job. Once they have done, we will be seized of this matter. So the question whether jurisdiction is at the Supreme Court has already been decided. Jurisdiction is at the High Court. After the High Court, this matter, the Court of Appeal is having jurisdiction as an appellate court against the High Court. The Supreme Court will have to sit on this matter. I don't know why people are forgetting. Uhuru and my good friend Baba Raila Odinga started the BBI. It lasted in court 4 years. Wambura's matter lasted in court for 3 years. Elections were done before that determination was done. Mwangaza, the governor of Meru right now, and I was here with you, I told people, Mwangaza will be kept in office until the Supreme Court decides otherwise. Mwangaza is still in office. So this is the trend. If you look at the jurisprudence for those lawyers who have been following on citizens, the Wajir matter, the governor of Wajir was evicted and swearing in was almost being done immediately. The decision of the court was that reasonable time must be provided for an aggrieved party to go to court to seek redress. So the special meeting that is likely to be held on Friday is academic. And the good speaker, who is a senior lawyer, knows it very well, that any type of shenanigan to try to swear in somebody at night, the Kibaki style at night, that was 2007. Kenyans moved away from that.
That's done.
And it is now the 2010 constitution. Transparency, openness, where people are involved. Let us see this process, how it goes. It is very bad music for those ones who wish Gachagua is hounded out unconstitutionally. But they are charging him that he breached the constitution. So it is a double. For example, yesterday, my good friend, senior counsel, Orengo appears in court. He is a governor. The speaker makes the greatest ruling that will go in the annals of history, allowing a governor. I'm imagining if Gachagua was an advocate, Gachagua could have been allowed to defend another person.
To defend
or William Ruto being an advocate, he could have come to defend.
To prosecute for parliament.
For parliament. So these are some of the absurdities that we look at it and say, fidelity to the law. decisions that come out of the Senate. Senate is a quasi-judicial organ, and it follows the law. And we will be seeing those questions in court. God, people are worried. If the threshold of Muthusi goes to court, which court will believe and trust?
Yes. I think my friend Omari is a great speaker. And if you are a pastor, that church people will really get saved. Let me plug a few holes that he left out. You know, Omari argued that the DP has no powers to appoint anyone, and so if there is any tribalism in appointments, it is actually the president. And, you know, from DP's utterances and statements, he has demonstrated how tribal it can be. But we also must remember, the most powerful tool in politics is influence. DP Gachagua has multiple times tried to influence the appointment of the people from Mount Kenya in government. At one point in time, he was insisting that he needs 8 CSS in the Mount Kenya region immediately after the JNC uprising. He made that statement. And that is more tribal than trying to say it is President William Ruto who appoints. Because nobody...
Did he succeed?
Sorry?
Did he succeed?
Who?
DP Gachagua.
He did, of course.
He got the 8.
To an extent. I think there were 7 or something. I'm not very sure with the figure.
So he is he's the actual appointing authority.
No, we are not talking about, you know, the accusation.
De facto de jure.
Let me just speak. The whole thing about accusing Gachagua of being a tribalist is not from his appointments, but from his statements. And when you want to bring in Ruto there, when you have not placed his appointments on the table and say this is absolutely tribal, is to get it all wrong. I have seen a list going around in Kenya sometimes back of the people from the president's community being the majority in government without tabling lists from other communities. I think that was being dishonest. But also, he talked about Kisii not having a PS. PSS went through a recruitment process, went through an interview, and it was that. But also remember, Kenya Kwanza.
So it's the competent ones that got the job.
Yes. You also remember Kenya Kwanza were trying to distribute, ensure that everybody got something. And actually, that is where Mose comes from, the Solicitor General. That is where Osoro comes from, the, I think, majority whip, and so on. So there was a way of distribution. Even the speaker was distributed to where it ought to go after elections. But let's also get something. He talked about the president has included ODM in government. True, it's ODM, not the region. It's ODM, not a community. So ODM has leadership right from the coast. In fact, today, remove Raila and you have all the 3 deputies from not his region. So we have to accept that political parties are not entirely tribal. The small briefcase ones that you talked about, that Sigei Pa is largely, those ones are briefcase ones. Don't talk about them here. So when we go to something you said which you must be challenged very highly, Wakili, is to suggest that DP is an elective position. The Constitution only contemplates the election of a president, but demands that the president must nominate his deputy before the elections. We have had impeachments here before, including the latest one in your backyard, Kisii, of a deputy governor. And they did not demand that the IEBC declare that seat vacant first, because after that, there is no election to take place. The governor nominates. After the DP has been impeached, the president will nominate, parliament will vet, and he will be gazetted as the new deputy president in the country. So let us not run away from these facts. So DP is nominated by the president and IEBC has nothing to do with it. Public participation is the most misinterpreted thing in this constitution. When you look at Article 118, it only talks about parliament being open to the public so that the processes taking place in parliament is open to the public. The mischief public participation came to Kiwa were things like swearing somebody at night, waking up and find that a sitting president has introduced a law into parliament which says you cannot sell unprocessed milk, which says you cannot use animal manure in your farms like President Uhuru Kenyatta did. Of course, Omari was an adult and a lawyer at that time. He said nothing. But so let us not bring issues which don't matter. Actually, when you see the way public participation was done this time, it was done just because of political reason. But the real public participation, as envisaged in Article 118, is to ensure that the public is participating in parliament by seeing whatever else is going. So in case they have a protest, in case they have a view, that view can be incorporated, but they have no vote in that parliament. Personally, you know, I chair a board of the Victoria South Waterworks Development Agency. And by law, myself, my corporation secretary, and my chief executive officer all have to participate in the deliberations of that board. But we do not have votes. But we are participating. Similarly, the public must participate in parliamentary business. That is what the Constitution says, and that is what's envisaged, and that is how the mischief of excluding the public when decisions affecting them are being made was cured. So it is possible to participate, but you have no vote. The public is participating in what Parliament is doing, but there is no votes. In fact, let us not mistake public participation for a referendum or an opinion poll. In fact, those papers were unnecessary in public participation. As long as SpiceFM is covering Parliament, the public is participating in the process.
Is that what
Me
the courts have
and
said?
Wakili participated in the process that was going in Parliament until midnight before we went to bed.
This matter of public participation has ended up in court many times.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the courts have pronounced themselves. When the courts were saying that this NHIF housing fund thingy has not gone through sufficient public participation, so halt it. Were they saying that TVs were off? When they were saying the Finance Act of 2023.
Don't ask me, just that one. When I answer you to answer the answer you're asking again.
Okay. In all those cases where they've said there was no sufficient public participation, it is what meaningful, sufficient and meaningful public participation, or whatever the words are. Do they mean that Parliament is not broadcasting?
Let me tell you.
Tell me.
The matter of affordable housing, where did it come from? Where did it originate from? If it originated from Parliament, then in that Parliament, if the TVs are covering the process of bringing that matter onto the floor, canvassing it, and then voting for it, that was public participation. What I am telling you, both some of the courts and the lawyers have misinterpreted public participation as in Article 118. We can read it here, and anybody who understands English as well as me and my brother Omari will understand what public participation that is envisaged in that constitution was. It was not meant that public participation replaces Parliament. In fact, even if in public participation, everybody said opposite what Parliament has decided, the public cannot replace Parliament. In any case, when the Constitution gave Parliament the power to impeach, that Constitution was endorsed by the public through a participation called referendum.
Okay. Public access and participation.
Yes.
118. Parliament shall conduct its business in an open manner.
Public.
And its sittings and those of its committees shall be open to the public.
Public participation.
There's no mention of public participation there.
The heading of what you are reading is public participation.
B. Facilitate public participation and involvement in the legislative and other business of Parliament and its committees.
Yes.
Parliament may not exclude the public or any media from any sitting unless in exceptional circumstances. That is 118.2.
Exactly.
Circumstances that the Speaker has deemed that there are justifiable reasons for the exclusion. So facilitating of public participation, this is just one part of it.
Yes, yes.
It is not the only part where the principle of public participation is mentioned in the Constitution.
Let me tell you, nothing stopped the crafters of this Constitution from telling us that go and record. If we are going to take public participation as a voting system where we record who voted on which side, we will have to have registration of voters. What if somebody comes to Parliament and say, I was in Homa Bay to do public participation, but I was sent away? Because public participation as written, what we have read is what they meant. If they meant that we go to the counties and constituencies to count who decided on what, we should have, it could have been stated here. So public participation is let the public be at the place where decisions affecting them are being made. Let them put their views so that the people who are going to vote on their behalf can hear their views, use them or not use them.
Okay. And Parliament should facilitate that.
Exactly.
So that the people can put their views.
Exactly.
Okay. So when the court said that there was no adequate and meaningful public participation, it means that the public did not have sufficient avenues to put their views and for their views to then be heard and collected and taken to Parliament. Is that?
Even if those you know, in public participation, like any other voting, you cannot force a member of the public to go and put his views. All you need to do, let them know Parliament is open for you to come and participate in the proceedings of Parliament. If the decision is being made of Homa Bay, it is in a public place, it is open to you to come and see the way your governor or your leaders are making decisions that will affect you. After you do that, you may put your opinion. But that opinion is not binding to the decision that will be made from there.
Okay.
Public participation cannot replace the role of Parliament in impeaching the governor. I mean, the deputy president. It cannot replace. It does not matter whether we came back with 80% saying don't impeach him. Because then we would say, instead of using Parliament to impeach a governor, let's use a referendum. Let's use public participation. Get it done, and then we impeach.
I want to ask a question that also Wakili had mentioned then.
Yes.
In your understanding of the law, of the politics, of the constitution, how do we get to a new president in office?
A new president?
A new deputy president. Should the Senate vote to impeach the deputy president tonight?
A new DP will be nominated by the president. The nominee will be taken to Parliament for vetting. After vetting, he will be formally appointed by the president to be the DP of the Republic of Kenya. There's nothing more than that in the Constitution or
will he be sworn in?
Of course, he'll be sworn in by the Chief Justice or whoever it is. I don't know who.
In a public place?
Yes.
Between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m.?
I don't know if that is written for them in the matter of the DP, but I know it is written in the matter of the president, which the Constitution envisaged will be accompanied by his DP at that time. But why do we crack our head thinking about this? We have seen deputy governors have been impeached and the new ones have come in and have been sworn in. And you know the governor and the president are a mirror of each other, except one is diminished, which is the governor. Yeah.
So the vetting that you foresee in Parliament, what is it? Is it like the one for ministers?
Yes, something like that.
Give us your clearance from DCI, your tax clearance, your HELB clearance.
It is upon Parliament to set up its agenda. And the Constitution says the Parliament will make rules on how they do things. They are not going to go to court to give them the rules. They are not going to go to IBC to give them the rules. They are going to decide this is how we are going to go about vetting this man. If they choose not to ask him 20 questions and ask him 2, then so be it.
Is there a minimum?
Sorry, go ahead, Eric.
Is there a minimum set of questions that they should ask?
No, I've not seen that in any law.
Like, should they establish his age?
If they so wish, Parliament will make its own rules. It is indicated,
Should they establish his nationality?
Of course, if the person they are electing has a Kenyan ID, they will have established his nationality. What is the issue? And in those IDs, it is written whether you are born in Kenya or born elsewhere.
Should they establish whether he has
we can't argue like it is only IBC who can establish our nationalities. Anybody can do, including the provincial administration. Anybody can, including that Parliament itself. The many things that Parliament do, they don't refer to anybody. Like when they decided to do public participation, they did not ask IBC to go and help them do public participation. They did it their own way, their own style. They make their own rules by law.
Actually,
and when you tell me... Yes, sir.
This thing of they make their own rules is not true.
It's true, it's in the Constitution.
No, the guideline has to be that very Constitution. It has to be, and in cases where the Constitution details a process, Parliament cannot go against it. They have their standing orders, we understand. And that is what they use to conduct their businesses.
Omari sitting here knows Parliament makes its own rules.
I have not said they don't. I have said it has to be in compliance with the Constitution.
Exactly. So,
yes.
So which constitution are they going to breach if they made their own rules?
Oh, I am not discussing the breach. I'm just making that simple point. Nothing more.
That principle is taken in. But again,
let's go to the news. Let's go to the news. The conversation continues after the news, all right? Okay, yes. And we'll open the phone lines as well to hear from you. So these very high-stakes games, what's your reading of it? The Deputy President's impeachment going on in Parliament. Odoyo Widi, political analyst, and Dunstan Omari, advocate of the High Court. It's Eric and CT with you. This is Kenya's biggest conversation. The phone lines are 0719 012 600.
Spice up your life. 4.4 SpiceFM.
Good morning. This is the News Wire. I'm Leah Ubaga. Now, Kenya's upper house of parliament is set to vote on whether to remove Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua from office in an unprecedented political saga that has gripped the nation. The Senate will give its verdict at the end of the second day of an impeachment trial against the embattled number 2 to President William Ruto. It follows a historic vote last week in the lower house where the National Assembly to impeach Gachagua on 11 charges including corruption, insubordination, undermining the government and practicing ethnically divisive politics. A trial in the Senate began Wednesday after the 59-year-old, also known as Rigiji, failed in multiple court bids to halt the process. The accusers of the Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua imagined that he'd resign after he was impeached by 282 MPs. Speaking on SpiceFM, advocate of the High Court Dunstan Omari says that's why the mover of the motion Kibwezi West MP Mwengi Mutuse was cornered during the cross-examination.
They imagine that the type of allegations that they have put across are so ignominious that any reasonable person will not want to defend himself. That is why Mutuse put everything, bring 100 companies, just put them there. Put figures, 5 billion. Put things that nobody can deal with the question of stealing from a dead brother. All these things were aimed to whip emotion. The tide started when public participation came in. It was a rude shock. The second issue came to the second public participation at the constituency level. The story changed that let all these 2 people go home. Fake letters came. He has resigned. All of those were hot air. He appears in the Senate. The man is still there to fight. And he's determined to move further after failing 29 times in court.
Omari further said that the DP has put up a spirited fight even after his petition to stop the impeachment was denied by the courts more than 20 times. He added that if the DP is impeached, he has already planned ahead to go to the Supreme Court.
The point that upon them releasing the attacks, the Deputy President will resign. They never anticipated that he will stand to the last. So they are trying to catch up to deal with the areas they never anticipated the Deputy President to go. So they have been found off guard. And that is the fumbling that you saw in the Senate is purely for they listen to their case. As a lawyer, I'll tell you, you listen more to the other side, not to yourself. They listened to themselves, they prepared their case, they never prepared for the defense. And the defense listened to them and prepared their case. So in my own view, I think the Deputy President's imagination is that he is going to be at the Supreme Court. His preparation is to the Supreme Court.
He further added that it's evidence as the real accusers of the motion have gone missing and will only appear at the Senate to vote.
The real movers of UDA have left the skunk to ODM. It is now ODM. None of them appeared at the Senate. Or if they were there, spies did not see their faces because they had masks. They did not appear. And I'm telling you, they will not appear. The skunk has become so big. They are walking away from it. They will only appear to vote as voting robots. Because the question is, the debate has now moved away from Parliament, from Senate to the public. And the public seems to be listening to the DP.
Fresh details have emerged on the kind of weapons and electronic gadgets that were recovered from a criminal gang during an operation staged by multi-agency teams and their Haitian counterparts in Tossel, Port-au-Prince. At least 20 Haitian gang members were on Sunday and Monday fatally shot during a security operation carried out by the Haitian police jointly with Multinational Security Support Mission MSS officers. This led to the recovery of an assortment of weapons. Kenya leads MSS mission, which is supposed to have 2,900 personnel. That's the Newswire. I'm Leah Ubaga.
.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
It's okay, actually. It's all right. Coming to town. It's all right. You can move. North Airport Road is now okay. Juja Road is now all right. Jogo Road is now all right. Mombasa Road has been okay. Langata Road is fine. Ngong Road is okay. Ring Road Kileleshwa is not so bad. So is James Geshoro is fine. Lower Kabete is all right. Limuru Road and the junction with UN Avenue is fine. Thika Superhighway has improved. Kiambu Road is clear. Get into town.
This is the Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Okoh, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latiff, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Yes. Finally, getting into the final hour of the show this morning. Asante sana for tuning in. Kenya's biggest conversation, the Situation Room. Doyo Widi is here and Dunstan Omari is here. We'll open the phone line shortly. City, please remind everybody why the Aga Khan University Hospital is talking about the home-based care. It's a big thing. You fall ill, you go to hospital, you see a doctor, then the doctor tells you, all right, so now we've begun a treatment. So in this treatment, we'll be looking and checking. How are you improving? Are you improving? Do we need to change your medication? Do we need to change your routine? Do you need this and the other? In that period, you need some physiotherapy perhaps. So you don't need to stay in hospital or keep coming to hospital.
No, you don't.
Hey.
You don't. Because everything that could have been done for you as you recuperate, the doctors, the nurses, all the care, whether it is the lab works that were required, all those things can be done in the comfort of the environment of your home. It is really as simple as that. Now that is taking home-based care to a completely different level. Yes, it's a reality, not a discussion. It is a reality.
Yes. Please remind us the day's proverb.
Our proverbs for this week have been from the People's Democratic Republic of Algeria. And today's proverb is as follows: the one who shows his fears ensures his salvation.
The one who shows his fears ensures his salvation.
Yes.
Very good one. Deputy President assuming office. Yes. You were saying that if we look at what has happened in the counties, a deputy governor is impeached, a deputy governor dies, governor nominates, county assembly votes, deputy governor nominee assumes office, na Kenya inasonga mbele.
Exactly.
Nothing at you, sijui present this and the other, nothing about IEBC, nothing about IEBC declaring a vacancy in that office of the deputy president, nothing. We did not see it in Baringo after the death of the deputy governor. We have not seen it in Kisii after the impeachment of a deputy governor. So, nothing major. Right?
Really? Yeah, so what I'm telling you is a DP, a DG, are all nominated by their bosses. And then the various assemblies vet them, and then they assume office. Period. That's simple. If there is anybody who thinks something was wrong in the process, now the courts are there to arbitrate.
If you think about it, Awidi,
yes,
there's procedure for electing a governor,
exactly,
and a deputy governor, right?
I do never want to talk about the procedure of electing a deputy governor. Only the governor is elected after nominating nani anamshindikiza kwa hiyo safari.
So who is elected?
The governor is elected, but he or she has to nominate the running mate.
So essentially, it's not the governor, it's the candidate for governorship who nominates.
Okay.
Yes.
You nominate before you become governor.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. If there's a vacancy and you're governor, you can again nominate.
And before you interpret some of these
provisions,
you need to know...
Why do both names appear on the ballot?
Sorry?
Why do both names appear on the ballot?
It is normally a good thing, just like a nickname these days appears on the ballot, to help you enhance your votes. Yes, these days you can have your nickname on the ballot.
Because
it's a way of enhancing your votes. But the person who is elected is the governor or the president. The other one is
those are not the only nominees, right?
Yes.
Before an election,
yes,
there are political parties present a list
yes.
of their nominees.
Yes, they
do. To Parliament, right?
They do.
All political parties, they'll present a list to nominees to the Senate, nominees to the National Assembly, nominees to the County Assembly. True? But we don't vote for those names.
We don't vote for?
For the names.
Yes.
Yeah, it's just after an election, the strength of the political party that determines how.
Exactly.
But that is lodged not with the Assembly or with the National Assembly or with the Senate.
Yes.
It is the list is lodged with the IEBC.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
That is the IEBC then that will determine that yes, so and so is number one on the list of ODM as nominee in the National Assembly.
Yes.
Okay? Why don't we have the same thing as the candidate for president nominating and lodging a name with the IEBC and saying, my first choice for deputy president shall be Rigathi Gachagua. My second choice shall be Anne Waiguru. So if Rigathi leaves, then Anne Waiguru becomes the deputy president. Why don't we? Why not
that is not done so because in getting the DP or the DG, only one person is required and there is nothing to be determined after the election. But nomination, say, to the National Assembly, it will be depend on the strength of those who are elected to the National Assembly. You can get 2 slots or 5 or 1. That is why you have to make a long list. In case you get elected in such a way that you have 5 slots, then the first top 5 are taken. If you only have 2, then the top 2. If you only have 1, then the top 1. If you have nothing, then they remain there. But in the case of a DP, it's only one person that will be required in case you win. One person.
So why do they need to appear on the ballot?
I have told you that they need to appear on the ballot because they enhance electability of the president. The people want to know, who do you intend to help you govern this country? It is Rigathi Gachagua. I think it is good, we can vote for you. So the DP you nominate is just something to help you get your votes. The DP is never voted for. The president is. And when you look at the constitution, there is nowhere where you say election of a DP. Hakuna election of a DP in any statute book. Hakuna.
But there's swearing in, assuming of
and
office.
Let me add you one more thing.
There's assumption of office of a DP.
Yes.
There is a vacancy of office of a DP.
Yes.
There is swearing in of a DP.
Exactly.
There is an oath of office or swearing of allegiance for a DP.
Exactly.
All those things are there.
But no election.
There is a position of DP in the cabinet.
Yes.
There is position of DP in the National Security Council.
Yes.
There's a position of DP in IBEC.
Yes.
It's all there.
Exactly.
But this person is only not elected.
Not elected. He's not elected. Even ministers have all such functions, but they are not elected.
Those ones are nominated and clear after an election.
They are not elected. A DP is not. Tell me where it is said you elect a DP.
And they serve, right, at the mercy of the president. The deputy president does not serve at the mercy of the president.
Of course, there are many people who don't serve at the mercy of including the Chief Justice and all those others. But they are not elected. The Chief Justice does not serve at the mercy and all those constitutional officers, but they are not elected. They are nominated and Parliament
Do their names appear at the ballot?
That's a question. Who? Do they participate in an
I
election?
have told you the name of the DP appears in the ballot just like your nickname would appear in the ballot to enhance your electability. The people want to know who is going to help you govern this country. In case you disappear, who takes over? You know the mischief that this appointment of DP in advance came to cure. When people have been elected presidents, they become very mischievous and they come up with the names that the people really don't like. And we also had to deny them the opportunity to just wake up one day and say, my DP is fired, like Moi used to do. Those are the mischiefs these things used to come to cure.
Very good.
Yes.
So to ensure that the person who is then the DP, there must be some certain criteria.
Exactly.
Starting with qualifications.
Exactly.
Which are in the Constitution.
Exactly.
And the qualifications are clearly stated.
Exactly.
And then the statutes come and say that the person who is the custodian of checking these qualifications is also stated. And the custodian of checking these qualifications at the point of an election is there.
IEBC.
But when the Constitution is talking about the qualification, it does not say who was going to determine what those qualifications are. It is us who decided that IEBC is better placed to verify those qualifications.
Yes.
In the absence of IEBC, there's no law that prohibits you.
Have we changed that law?
In the absence of IEBC, there is no law that prohibits you from verifying those qualifications. If you are not going to an election, you are going to nominate by the president. It is now the president to ensure that he nominates somebody who is qualified to be president like him. If you think he has not done the correct thing, go and ask the court to arbitrate.
Let's hear from Blackwater in Mombasa, and then we'll come back to you. Good morning, Blackwater.
Good morning, gentlemen. I see it's a whole panel of men today.
Yes, it is. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. What's up with our lady? She hasn't been on for a while.
She's on leave. She's enjoying some time off.
Okay. So basically, I really wanted to start this thing by telling you guys, right? One thing is, in Swahili, they tell you, watu wa Pemba wanajuana kwa vilemba. Basically, we, the public, have no voting right in this situation. This is a telenovela. Just remember back in the day when they used to have the rich also cry?
Yeah.
In Dallas, where the family is fighting amongst themselves?
Yeah.
And they're being judged by their peers, which is the parliament. And if they go to Supreme Court, the Supreme Court, and now the Senate.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, we have no say in this. And I tell my friends every day, don't get caught up in this. Your friend is your neighbor. These people don't know you. They all go to steakhouse. None of you over there probably has been to steakhouse. Probably. I don't know. Probably. You know? So we sit here. We can talk all we want to talk. But this game is being played on a higher level. Probably they're even derailing us. Other things are going on in the background.
This is not our game.
This is not our game. We just talking, man. It's not our game.
Thanks, Blackwater.
It's beyond us.
Thank you. James in Nairobi. Hello.
Hello. Good morning.
Good morning.
My point is, if the deputy president has committed all those violations, what has the president not done? We saw news headlines in newspapers where Hilton Hotel was doing most business with government. We know the shareholding of the hotel, it's clear. If it's the issue of tribalism, who makes appointments? And we have all seen heads of parastatals and all that. Also, who has overseen the killings and abductions of Kenyans, something that the president wanted to be a secret, and they are now at loggerheads with the deputy president because he has exposed that. So in my opinion, that is not our priority. It is a case of misplaced priorities and misdirected focus.
Okay. Thank you, James. Mwalimu Irongo.
Good morning, Eric.
Good morning.
Siti habari.
Salama sana mwalimu, kwa mzima?
Mimi ni mzima, nimekuwa mgonjwa kwa muda mrefu, but God has seen me through. I'm back.
Pole sana bwana, pole.
Thank you very much. Let me comment very quickly. first of all, I want to be very sincere to everybody that I neither support the deputy president nor those who are accusing him, not even the president, because I've never liked them anyway. But what I detest at this moment is how their relationship, and they have differed for whichever reason, which they have refused completely to bring to the public.
Yeah.
They are now bringing the whole country to stop operating and focus on what they are fighting over, something we do not understand, and which is obviously not beneficial to the common mwananchi. So let me finish by telling the gentlemen, the two learned friends in that room, to take the advice they have been given by a speaker who spoke, I think the first one, somebody
Blackwater.
Yes. Let them not get caught up in this. It's not important. People have been killed in this country. We are starving. The salaries have been deducted by way of overtaxing, and there are many other problems. Adani is all here. These guys are fighting over money. I may not say which money. And number two, and that's where I will end, Eric. These guys are fighting over something we do not understand. Regarding Gachagua, a person that whose character I've also not liked very much, is being brought out to conceal what the government is doing behind the backs of the Kenyans. We are being cheated. This is nonsense. Thank you.
Thank you, Mwalimu Irongo. Come in, Wakili. Saying so much political high stakes. What's the price for it?
Actually, what my good brothers have said is true. The day Gachagua's impeachment motion was on is the day Adani seal was being done with Ketraco. This is a decoy, a Trojan horse for Kenya Kwanza to do what they want to do. A day before Adani, before Gachagua's impeachment is there, the leader of ODM says very well that Adani deal is above board. Kenyans, Gachagua is a decoy to take our focus away from the ills the country is facing. I totally agree with you. Today, for example, who is this likely to be nominated to be the DP? Is it one Raila Odinga? Chances are 100% he might be the deputy president. Because they have
Chances
done a lot.
100%.
You see, ODM has carried the skunk and they have completely fought. The UDA guys have gone back to the trenches. It is ODM at the firing lane. So probably their leader, Raila Odinga, might be the deputy in the waiting so that the assumption of office is done that way. Remember, what we are now seeing is the reorganization of the Pentagon of the 2007. That old Pentagon is back. The completeness of that Pentagon, the vision they had, is back now. They have reunited, to the exclusion of the PNU apologists who later turned to be Jubilee, who later turned to be whatever they are. Now, that is the political arrangement that we have. When I look at this, who gains out of all these problems? Gachagua, His Excellency Deputy President Gachagua, 2022. To be honest, he gave Ruto not more than 10,000 votes. Ruto got votes from the mountain himself. Out of this debacle, Gachagua has acquired a voting block of over 6 million voters. Because of this. Number two, Gachagua is being accused of having funded what we call the Gen Z movement. he has now acquired a new constituency of the Gen Z across the board, up to Sigei. Third, if Gachagua is hounded out of office, confessions were done the other day that presidential candidates get foreign funding from foreign businesses and foreign countries. That has been going to ODM. It is now going to come to Gachagua. The civil society that was always with Baba against the government, Baba now being the real government, the civil society has gone back to Gachagua.
Bwana Omari, just pause kidogo tu. I hear you, but I'd like a little clarification. When you say Baba is the real government, what do you mean?
Baba is, you know, under Uhuru, under the handshake, Baba never get any appointee. He never got any slot in government. Today, under William Ruto, Treasury, my good friend, but the only minister with executive powers to sign and commit our loans, to commit the country to anything, is ODM. Energy sector, the most critical issue of cost of living, my client Mbadi, my client Opio Wandai, is the minister. The Hustler Fund, where all the money is, Oparanya, my client, is the minister. Kenya is now a mining and blue economy. Joe is in control of these issues. So how do you say that you are not the government? It's not that you are in government, you are the government. Hey. And that is why I said, ODM now being the government, they are likely, and they have been given an assignment to make sure Gachagua leaves, they are likely to be the deputy president.
Oh, well, let's hear from Karaoke. Karaoke, good morning.
Yeah, good morning. It's been a while.
It's been a while. How are you?
Tuko wazima nashukuru.
Our system still indicates that you're in Lavington. I don't think you are.
No, I think you know very well where I am. I mean,
Karaoke, where have you been?
The last four. Niko mzima.
Asante.
Nashukuru. I still watch. It's only that I've not been as active as I was before, but hopefully that will change. And I like the discussion, and I don't want to really dwell on the merits or demerits of the protagonists of the impeachment. But I think one of the things that probably is not prominently coming out of the Situation Room, and I'm curious to know if Owidi and Advocate Omari have a common ground in that understanding or that agreement, is that the Constitution keeps winning. And I think from this impeachment case, there will be new jurisprudence, and I think it will chart the way of how future impeachments will be carried out. I'm just curious to know if the two guests in the Situation Room, agree to that. Secondly, I think Owidi mentioned earlier that you can have your nickname at the ballot. I don't think that's entirely true. I think my understanding is that what politicians do is that they rebrand nearer the elections. They lodge documents with the Register of Persons and, change their names. But it's not technically that...
The names that appear on the ballot are the person's official names.
Correct. And I think that should have been... I was hoping... I was expecting Omari to set the record straight on that.
Okay. Yeah, Odoyo will be correct. Thank you. Thank you, Karaoke. Nelson in Mombasa, hello.
Hello, assalamu alaikum.
Salam. Wa alaikum salam.
How is my mwalimu?
Sijambo kaka, uko mzima?
Sasa kabisa. Sasa mimi nilikuwa kuna mahali inanikanganya kidogo hii arrangement and the constitution. We are now in this case wakati tukipiga kura mara ya kwanza tulipiga kwa tiketi moja, si ndio? ya rais na msaidizi wake ama mdogo wake. Alafu sasa wakati huu sasa kama atatolewa inabidi president sasa ndiye nominate. Which means tutaenda kuwa na nani na deputy ambaye hakuchaguliwa na mwananchi. Unaona? And then sasa inakuwa ndiye nominate. Sasa shida yangu ni kuwa sasa supposing sasa ilikuwa ni president amekuwa impeached. Unaona? Je, deputy ana nini? Ana nguvu ya kunominate mwingine? Haje sasa ndiye aende kwa nini? Hapo hiyo party ya constitution.
Wakili atatueleza hapo.
Yes. Hapo atatueleza because hapo imenikanganya. Alafu na the way tunapelekwa sasa. Ni kwa focus yetu yote imeenda huko sasa kwa Gachagua. Tumesahau yale yote ambayo yalikuwa yanatokea kama hayo ambayo wakili ametaja. Maana yako mengi, yako ya energy, yako nini, yote hayo. Sasa wakati tunapoenda huko, tunajuaje wakati wewe umeangalia kando na panya ameingia hapa kala kile chakula ulikuwa supposed kuja kula? Sasa hapo
Thank you, Nelson.
Ndio naona inaweza. Yes, thank you so much.
Asante sana. Cedric.
Yes, good morning, Erica and the city Muga and the guests.
Morning to you, Cedric. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. So I'm fine here in Mwingi. It's so hot and despite us expecting rain. So I'll go straight to the matters at hand and I'll say this. Whatever is happening between the DP and the president is entirely political game. And for us, I'll just say this. I don't care whether he gets whether the DP goes away or not. But as a Kenyan, he deserves some rights, and that's why he's accorded that process through as stated in the constitution. But my point is this. Whatever is happening now is that the president is using the crisis which we had recently. He used the crisis which he had recently to organize his government, and now he's sorting out 2007 politics actually, and that's why he's getting rid of his DP. It's not about morality. It's not about whether Gachagua is guilty of all those accusations against him. Actually, some of them, there could be a case actually to hold water on his accusations, but to prove it or not is not even the point. The point is that he just wants to be hounded out of the office so that Ruto could have his house in order the way he likes it before 2027. And therefore, instead of us, I know this is a very important national matter, but I'll say this. These are just political charades. They are political games. The main issues, as many of the previous speakers have said, that things are done on the sideways. We focus on the parliament, on the process of the parliament before we just raise our heads again to look what is happening around. The Adani deal on energy was signed. Today we are focused on these Senate proceedings. Before we wake up, you hear JKIA is now gone. I'm just a wild guess. It could have before we wake up, something else has been done.
Yeah, you said, Rick. Thank you.
That's what happened. It's happening. Thank you so much for the time.
Asante sana. Before we go to a break and also hear comments from our guests, we have one more caller. Good morning. Hello.
Hello.
Hi. How are you?
I'm okay. This is Robert from Kisumu.
Who?
Robert from Kisumu.
Robert, thank you for calling.
Yeah. So I was kind of hearing the discussion on your radio. By the way, good morning, City Muga.
City Muga, good morning.
Good morning, bro.
I hearing you on the radio because you dispense knowledge like crazy.
All right, Robert, what's your point?
So my point is, I kind of hear the point that Mr. Odoyewudi is trying to bring across. So it's for Dunstan Omari, who is a lawyer, to try and explain to us, according to what the Constitution states, that how do we hound out the deputy president? Because Owidi categorically stated that the deputy president can be hounded out by the parliament, just the way the deputy governors have been hounded out here. And it's not explicit in the constitution that most probably you can't hound out the deputy. The deputy. It's not, the process is not clear on our constitution. So will it be okay for Dunstan Omari most probably to elaborate to us how it's not clear in the Constitution on what the procedure needs to be.
All right. We'll get that from
Yes,
you.
sir.
Thank you very much, Robert. Let's take a break and then you'll respond to these ones quite quickly. It's 26 minutes to 10. We'll open the phone lines again. It's after the break. Dunstan Omari, Advocate of the High Court, Odoyo Widi, who is a political analyst. These are our guests.
This is the Situation Room. The only way to start your day.
Hii September, endelea kufurahia na Star Times. Renew your subscription today on the basic bouquet for 750 shillings for aerial decoders. Enjoy lots of fun and adventures on our kiddie channels. Let your favorite stars make your heart flutter on our world-class telenovelas. Renew your subscription on the Smart Bouquet for 1,199 shillings for satellite decoders for unmissable football action on the Carabao Cup, Saudi League, La Liga, and the Bundesliga. Music, movies, documentaries, and lifestyle channels. Download Star Times on app today on Google Play Store or the Apple Store to never miss a moment of your favorite shows. Star Times. Enjoy digital life.
The weather with SpiceFM.
It's warming up in Nairobi, and how is it looking like across the country? Malindi is 28 and warm. It's going to rise to 31 in Mombasa, rising to 28 in Kakamega, 26 in Nairobi, highs of 23 in Eldoret, highs of 24 in Nakuru, highs of 26 in Nyeri, and highs of 32 in Kinshasa, highs of 29 in Kampala, highs of 24 in Johannesburg, highs of 29 in Lagos, highs of 31 in Mogadishu, highs of 22 in Addis Ababa, 31 in Dar es Salaam, highs of 18 in Paris, highs of 18 in London, highs of 16 later in New York, and it's already hit its highest point, its hottest point today, Beijing. It's now starting to cool off. It's 17. There'll be lows of 15 later. All roads are looking okay now. They have almost cleared up. So if there's anything that we can just mention about maybe a major accident somewhere, a major incident, let us know. SpiceFM KE on X.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
All right, Wakili Dunstan Omari and the political analyst, Bwana Oedi. They are also here. You said now that ODM is not in government, ODM is government.
It's government.
So someone is commenting here, Ruto is not in power. Ruto is?
His power. It's not in power, it's power.
ODM is government.
Higher. There's a question that has been asked, starting from the last caller, just explaining some of these processes and procedures.
After the Senate,
2/3
majority will decide the day.
Today.
Of
all members.
Of all members not nominated. They will not vote.
Including nominated.
Senate has very funny rules. Today they say all the 67. Next time they say only elected. We will hear what the speaker will decide. Number two, after that decision, if Gachagua loses, the ball moves to the courts, the High Court, to challenge that decision. The decision in court will be whether constitutional safeguards and due diligence was followed and the threshold was arrived at. The High Court will make its determination. It can refuse to stop a swearing in, or it can stop. If it stops, Gachagua still remains a deputy president until the matter is heard and determined. If it does not give interim conservatory orders, the process of replacement will continue. Let's assume the High Court has stopped the removal. Then the case will be heard and determined. Still, there is a level of appeal at the Court of Appeal. If that decision is not stayed, replacement will continue. If it is stayed, the case will be determined at the Court of Appeal and move to the Supreme Court. The finality of Gachagwa's fate hangs at the Supreme Court. That is one of it. Number two, if Gachagua does not challenge the decision and is hounded out, he will never hold any public office. But what are the consequences of that? I will tell as a political analyst that the last time the right prime minister was elected with the people's mandate was in 2002 as a member of parliament for Kibera. But because he has a serious constituency behind him, Kibaki, Moi had to bend back to accommodate him in the government. Kibaki had to bend down to accommodate him as a prime minister. Uhuru had to bend backward to accommodate him in the handshake. Ruto has bent back to put him now actually at the accelerator.
The last time he was elected was 2007, right?
As a member of parliament of Kibera.
Of Langata then.
Of Langata. If Gachagua goes out, and as I said, he inherits the hawkers. He inherits those who are being evicted. He inherits the Gen Z. He inherits Murima. He inherits the civil society. Gachagua becomes a more political, powerful animal than Raila Odinga.
Well,
courtesy of this.
But you see, Wakili, Raila's potency remains because of his potential to be elected. Right? Because he stands in an election. And there's a potential that he could be elected. Gachagua will not stand in any election.
He will never stand.
And there is no potential of him becoming elected anywhere. Why would anyone follow him?
If he controls 150 members of parliament, he'll be seated at Murima taking his Muratina. You will have to go there to talk to him.
And how will he get to that position?
He does not need to be in the ballot. As I've said, you do not gain political power by being elected. You gain political power by having people who support you in millions. Raila Odinga had the political power 2002. To date, by virtue of the number of governors he has, by virtue of the number of members of parliament he has, by virtue not that he is elected himself, but by virtue of the people loyal to him, he's always seated in State House. If Gachagua takes that line, he replaces Raila Odinga as the next central power. Not an elected central power, but a central power outside power. So that when any government in crisis wants to deal with a deputy president who has gone rogue, Gachagua will be looked at just the way Raila is looked at. So we are creating another opposition outside. Two, when you look at the alignments that are coming up, already there is a lot of fighting for who becomes number two in the event Gachagua leaves. One, the prime cabinet position was created purely, which is a unconstitutional office, to take power away from the deputy president's office. If a new deputy president comes in, the first casualty will be the prime cabinet, because his job is no longer necessary. So he must fight to get this job. If he loses, he'll just become a minister. Two, if the position goes outside the prime cabinet secretary, it goes to Mount Kenya East. People of Mount Kenya West might vote to save Gachagua. If the prime minister is not getting the job, the senators from the Luya nation might vote to save Gachagua, because it's not one of theirs who is going to get this job. If the prime minister has worked so hard and he hopes himself or his person is going to get this job, when it is going to be clear that he's not going to get this job, they might save Gachagua. Gachagua might be saved because of jilted lovers who expected to be proposed as fiancés and wives, and once they know they are not, they are likely to say, Samson way, let us band together. Save Gachagua, none should get. We either get it or lose it.
Omari, you've speculated.
It is purely, politics is the art of speculation.
Is it
and the art of possibility.
It is, but it has to be judged against the backdrop of what is our lived reality in this country.
Just let me tell you, Gachagua the other day was carrying rungus at State House, waiting to chase and set traps against Raila Odinga. Only 2 years, the traps have brought him to Senate. That is the reality of politics, the art of possibility.
Or the art of the impossible.
The art of the impossible being turned into possibility. So, anything is possible.
Mr. Widi, I see there's something you want to say. I see you nodding and fiddling with your fingers.
I told you from the very beginning.
He's given up as well.
I've told you from the very beginning that this man called Wakili Yapa, he's a lawyer, right? But he has emotional positions that he will suspend his law. In fact, that time, if you ask you, sitabeba you kitabu kila mahali. But let me tell you, I first had the first caller. I think it was called Blackwater.
Yes. Blackwater.
With a grazing field argument that
what's a grazing field
what has
argument?
the president?
What a grazing field argument.
When you are accusing Gachagua of the things he has done, he was giving us a grazing field argument that, what about the president? You cannot have somebody who has not been brought before the jury as a defense. You can't. You can't say, oh, I'm a serial killer, but there are many people dying. Look for the people who have been killing those ones.
I'm actually curious. I like the terminology, but
what does it mean?
Yeah, what does it mean?
What?
Grazing field.
Grazing field argument is an argument that is not based on any law. It is only based on emotions, feelings that, dadi unanichapa lakini fulani pia alifanya makosa huku mchapa. That is a grazing field argument.
Thank you.
Continue. You had Blackwater with a grazing field argument.
Yes. That. And Irungu came, and then he had a defense even before he started speaking, telling us, me, I'm not even for Gachagua or for Ruto. But when he finally spoke, it was clear on which side he's talking from.
And which side was that?
He was for Gachagua. But one thing I wanted to make a statement that I should not go back with. I have seen the president's name keep on arising here again and again like a sea tide. It is very clear that President William Ruto is not a player in this impeachment. In fact, I have seen people are struggling to bring him in, wondering why he can't say anything. They are ready to have the president come in and say something about this, but there are many people they don't want to hear in this process. The president must remain non-partisan in this. There is nowhere in the Constitution where the president is supposed to be a player in the impeachment of his deputy. We must also understand that the deputy president has a problem with the Constitution and not a problem with the president. Yes. No, those are things.
Although you contradicted
yourself. Is a constitutional issue, or insubordination
it is a constitutional issue. You are not supposed to insubordinate your president. That is the law.
So it's a complainant.
No, it's not complaint. The president
is personal.
The president has not complained, and actually it even came back.
You told us the deputy president is merely a nominee of the president.
I will also insist that you bring these issues when I finish. Like you let Omari speak all his, and then you bring those.
Okay.
And there's something that people keep on talking about here called Adani. I have seen the profile of Adani. I know when Adani first came to this country in 2013, I have not looked at their headquarters, and I say, this is what people are calling a criminal organization. Today, even in the airport, the matters, catering, and all that is done by a private company called NAS. And people are not complaining. And people are talking about Adani like Adani has already done something. And it is this country where a sitting president built a railway line from Mombasa straight to his farm and fenced off 32 kilometers of farm using NYS. And people never saw that as a scandal. It is in this country where the president has built an expressway as a private company, and people never see it as a scandal, but they want to call Adani a scandal. I think the
you called that what?
I think the anti-president.
Grazing field?
Grazing field argument.
What about
watu wakichunga ng'ombe?
Whataboutism. Right?
No, let's
Finish.
Mr. Widi continue.
Finish.
Yes.
So, there is also somebody who said Gachagua is a decoy to let bad things happen, like signing of Adani and all those things. I think if anybody were to choose a decoy, they would have chosen more easier to deal with. Nobody would have chosen a process like this just to create as a decoy to get some things done. In any case, those things, even when they are done, the next day they will be in the news. It's only that the news there's a bigger news than that one. I heard my friend Omari talk about we are returning to the Pentagon days. First of all, we must recall that Pentagon was not an illegal organization. It was a very popular arrangement. It was a very popular grouping. I agree with my friend Omari on Gachagua now getting a voting block. But remember, it will not be religious like the one of Raila Odinga. Reason being, to get a religious following, there has to be a Satan, there has to be a Messiah, and there has to be a paradise where they are taking people. You must be somebody who is capable of providing punishment and reward in equal measure if people follow you. If Gachagua is not going to go for the presidency, which will be the reward for his people, if there is no enemy that is going to be fighting, that the people will be fearing, he will not get that kind of following. Just the fact that he went around and called people names here and there will not make him the kingpin. That will not happen. In any case, I think he's disillusioned that he's in the hearts of the people of Mount Kenya. No, he's in their eyes. They keep seeing him every day in the news here and there. As soon as he's impeached and he will no longer be newsworthy, they will forget about him and they will embrace the new nominee for the DP positions, unless he fights very hard using the tools I've given him. He has to create an enemy is fighting on behalf of the people. He has to create a paradise where he wants to take the people, which is very easy to find because it will be fighting for the presidency, probably on behalf of his people. Then they will follow him. But thinking that you have differed with the sitting president and you will be followed by Gen Zs or the law society. In any case, Gen Z was a quicksand thing. It went as soon as a simple announcement was made, because there were people behind it who thought if they keep on supporting it, they'll be using their resources. Saying that Rigiji has got a voting block, if I were him, I would start operating from outside. You know this man called Raila Odinga? As my friend says, he was last elected in 2007, but he has remained the kingpin.
Or 002?
007. 007, you know, we are still electing president as an MP.
Yeah.
So he was elected as an MP, but lost as a president. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes. So he still remained the kingpin because he remained with a hope for his people, for those followers of his, wherever they came from in this country.
Including yourself.
Including myself.
Yes.
Okay. I know you wanted me to say that. So
that one, you know me very well. That one I was not going to let pass.
So he remained so. So if Rigathi Gachagua really wants to borrow that template, he can actually say, okay, that is what you think. Let me fight you from outside. Raila Odinga did it. When he disagreed with Moi, he simply walked out, with Wamalo, he simply walked out, got his party and started fighting from outside. It is very difficult to fight from inside because you'll have to use very short weapons.
As an
If
example,
Rigathi Gachagua still remains the DP, there are certain weapons he can't use against the government.
As a DP?
Yeah. But if he got out, he will use long range, he will use conventional and unconventional, and so on. So I will advise him that if he really wanted to build a team, and then he needs to get out. But there was Kariuki. Kariuki was talking about the DP being the DP being on the ballot. Let me tell you, the DP's name on the ballot that is going to be used to elect the president is simply an additional information on that ballot paper. Let us not pretend. And finally, but most important, my friend Omari said the Prime Cabinet Secretary was being used to fight the DP. I don't think it was the intention of the president to fight his DP on day one. I think even the body language, everything on day one was very cordial until the DP came back to support the Gen Z revolution. In fact, I'm just using support because I don't want litigation in your place, but it is more than just support that team. He knew about them.
And there's evidence to support that view.
When he was in Mombasa, he spoke like he has known the Gen Zs for ages. He knew they had no leadership, they had no tribe, they had no party. He even requested them to put down their weapons again. But I want to tell you that the prime cabinet position was a reward for a person who hold votes. It had nothing to do with fighting the DP. Let's get correct things correctly.
Okay. Let me ask you, do you agree with, or what do you think of what Wakili Munari says? He sees Raila being the next deputy president.
That was a comedy. Because in whose interest would Raila Odinga be the DP? Because if it is his people, even Raila Odinga's people would want hope in their future. They would want somebody to be made a DP they can rely on one day to bring the trophy home.
And you don't think they can rely on Raila to bring the trophy home?
In future, which future does Raila Odinga still have? At 80, you want him to run for the president at 90?
Why not?
Okay, sawa. Sawa, if you think so, at least the people are judging that statement from you.
One of our listeners has commented, when we were talking about the balance between the PSAs and CSAs and the distribution across the county, and you saying we don't have a Kisses.
None.
Yeah? There's a principal secretary called Joseph Mogosi Mutari.
Mutari is Kuria.
He's Kuria.
He's my friend.
He's from the Kuria Nyanza.
Yes.
He's not from the Kisi Nyanza.
Yes.
Gusii.
From the Gusii people. From the Gusii Nyanza.
For the benefit of people, the Gusii people are distinct. None.
Not even one.
None.
Okay. No, but they have other things. If you don't have PS, you have the Solicitor General. If you don't have PS, you have the Majority Whip. You have the CS.
They have a minister.
They have a CS. Ogamba, my friend. So what else do you have?
I'm specific.
I don't think you.
Of the PS. Of who signs money?
Because
only PSs, principal
no. The president seems
are
to
accounting
think regionally
officers
than think tribally.
You know something? What Mr. Omari says, yes, we can argue about it, we can have a discussion, but it represents the reality of our politics. Yeah. And in this particular instance, everything we've heard anecdotally indicates that there was an understanding of how this thing will be divvied out.
Yes. Yes. The shareholding.
Because
what you have nailed it very well. As we never went to UDA with a party.
Yes.
We went as individuals just like Gachagua.
Yes, the president.
Yes. And that is why we never got anything. Those who went like the Speaker of the Senate is alone and is the Speaker. How many votes?
So
the question that we are asking, it is a shareholding that people want now to run away from and give it to Gachagua. Gachagua has no signature in those shareholding agreements.
Let's get one final call. Yes. Somebody who's calling from Atlanta in the USA. Good morning or good evening to you.
Hey, good evening. Here it is about 2 in the morning.
Yeah, good morning.
And my name's Samuel Njoroge from Atlanta, Georgia.
Right.
Yes, I just wanted to contribute to the debate that you have. We are following closely from the diaspora. And before I go far, I want to say that I am UDA Atlanta chapter organizing secretary.
Mm-hmm.
This is where UDA was born. The first branch of UDA was born in Atlanta, Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I wanted to say, number one, that what we saw in Parliament was total embarrassment to our democracy in our country, because the process was so flawed, and the removal of deputy president is not that something so small as we are treating. Number two, looking and listening to Mutuse yesterday, I could tell that deal was not easy. He was a conveyor belt. He was not able to articulate neither defense or explain anything. He ended up accepting that some of the information there are not true. He did not verify. He concluded by saying he did not have enough time. How could he do that if the bill was his? Number 3, I wanted to say, Senate today will either save the country or doom the country, not destroy us a war, bringing war back, the respect we deserve as one of the best democracies in Africa. Another thing, qualification.
We've got to end it there, my brother. I'm sorry, we've got to end
Let
it
me
there.
finish this.
Our time is up.
Who will
Yes.
verify? Who will verify the qualification of this candidate? That he's qualified to be president, and in case the president dies, he can take over. Who will do that?